Hey guys, it's Greg, and in this video, I hope you'll jump into the Sydney WordPress theme with us because we're going to learn some amazing skills that will enhance your career or your hobbies online. If you just started out on WordPress, or if you've installed WordPress and you're looking at the Sydney theme, wondering how do I create all these features, then either way, I think this video will do it for you. And you're not alone. That was me once upon a time too. That's why I want to show you how to create all the features you see here on my screen and yours without any coding knowledge required for total beginners. And if I have one piece of advice for you now, it's just to please subscribe with that red button. As you'll see in the upcoming days, we have so many short, easy Sydney tutorials coming up, and this is how we can stay in touch, and I can answer your questions right when you have them. I first started building on Sydney in 2012, and the world was a little bit different. Sure, there were a few less WordPress sites, making it easier for you to build a blog and make thousands of dollars from it with whatever you do, but regardless, we helped thousands of people with our videos over the years succeed, and I got news for you today, you can do it too, even bigger and better. That's because the tools at your fingertips have only gotten better. Today, Sydney uses Elementor, meaning you not only have the web's most downloaded theme practically, with thousands upon thousands a day, and of course the web's best content management system, WordPress, used by all these epic brands you see listed here, but you also have the web's #1 drag and drop page builder, Elementor. That means not only are you going to learn how to do Sydney things like create an image slider, but amazing things like add icons and reposition them easily, create custom buttons in any color you choose, complete with icons and different sizes, make sections that are full width responsive or just center them in the middle of the screen where people focus their attention, add your own real team from your business to show that you're a personal brand, create moving parts like counters and testimonials, all with the ease of Elementor, where you just select what you want on the left and drag it into the middle of the screen and it works. You can make modern interactive features or just simple boring features like lists, insert call to actions to take people to hotspots on your site. You can add videos from YouTube or Vimeo, all with just the paste of a link. You can add full screen video header backgrounds, and this time you don't have to make them on every page. You can choose exact pages where they go. All with the ease of Elementor, so you just need to click a few buttons and things will basically happen as you envision them. When you use Sydney, your site will be mobile friendly, responsive from the start as well, and it's really important because when your visitors are on the go and they look at your site from their mobile device or tablet, they need to get your information fast. They need to get your phone number. They need to get your menu. They need to get your location and the time of your events and your services. And by using Sydney, you guarantee that your audience gets that. 4 years ago, a really nice woman emailed me discouraged and down in the dumps with the limitations of free blogging sites. Fortunately, she found our Blogger to WordPress migration tutorial. That woman is Cori, and now she writes CoriWriter.com, aka Blogging and Writing with Purpose, where she shares inspiration and WordPress help for beginners and anyone who needs to create a WordPress website or might be a bit stuck along the way. Cori went from being a successful writer with no confidence for how to put it online to running her own complete blogging operation and a web development business where she builds websites for clients and consults for people in Toronto on how to use WordPress. Cori is available to help if you need blogging inspiration or maybe some WordPress consulting of your own. It is so amazing to see someone like Cori, who basically followed my story, be able to take the next step and create a WordPress business of her own, and I'm sure she can help you too. So if you're stuck, you can always reach out to Cori. So if you're ready to create a WordPress website with Sydney, then I'm ready to help. Make sure to use the links below in the description to find individual sections like how we make this section or how we make this section right here. So that way you can jump around. Now for those of you who need to make a WordPress website from scratch, which I know will be a lot of you, let's look at the steps you can take to create this exact website and perhaps more importantly, what each step costs. In order to make this complete website from scratch, we need to complete these 5 steps listed in our website checklist. So to make it easy, I'm going to explain to you what each of these steps means, a few tips for how I like to do each step, and perhaps most importantly, what each one of these steps costs us. If you went and hired a web developer in your town to build this exact website for you from scratch, they would charge you anywhere from $500 to $5,000. But we're going to do it for much cheaper. And if you don't believe me, go out and get a quote. I guarantee you'll be amazed. First thing we'll get is the domain name, which is also your website name or your brand name. If you're going to start a brand called Google, you want to register google.com. If you can't get the word or keyword that you want to get, try putting another keyword right after it, like cookies, and then you'll most likely be able to get the .com. There's no negative penalty in terms of SEO for choosing the .net or .org. I've built successful websites with all of them, but keep in mind that the .com is the most recognizable. You want your website to be easily recognizable and for it to be a no-brainer for people to find it. If you still can't think of a good domain name, welcome to the club. You're like most of us. It's always a good idea to register your first name, last name.com. That way, when someone looks you up, you can control exactly what they find. And it's actually pretty amazing for branding. A domain name costs us anywhere from $10 to $15 per year. That's the standard price we all pay. But I'm going to show you how to get your domain name at a discount for $5.99 a year. So that's pretty cool. The next thing is hosting. Hosting is like a plot of land where you're going to build your new amazing house or mansion. As such, it's really important that we register that plot of land somewhere secure where it won't get taken down and where we won't be limited at all as to what you can make. You could also think of hosting as a computer that's online at 24/7, 365 so people can see your content. Without hosting, people would go to your domain name and they would just see a blank page. The standard cost of web hosting is $10 a month, but I'm going to show you how to get it for $5 per month. And hosting is the most expensive part of making a website. Once you have a domain name and hosting set up, you can install WordPress.org onto them for free. And I'm going to show you how to do that with just a couple clicks, no coding or previous computer knowledge or experience required whatsoever. And WordPress, despite what you might have heard, is free open source software. Once we've installed WordPress, we can install our new theme onto WordPress, just like we would put on a new jacket. We're of course going to put on the Sydney theme, and that, believe it or not, is free. I can't believe Sydney's not a premium theme for all the amazing features it offers us, but it's free. And with our new copy of Sydney installed, I'm going to show you how to get tons of content for free as well. We're going to get free high-resolution, amazing images of anything you can think of. We're going to set up videos, buttons, links, pages, forms, and more, all for free. It's going to be a lot of fun. That brings our total bill today for making our website to under $20. For me, that's like one time out of the year I don't take a friend to lunch and instead make a sandwich from the fridge instead. It's really amazing how you can have a profitable website instead of this or that for such a small amount of money. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Go ahead and grab yourself a drink and get comfortable, and let's begin. Fortunately for us, we can tackle steps 1, 2, and 3 at the same place, which is HostGator.com. In the olden days, it used to be really difficult to connect these three things and to set up self-hosted WordPress like we're going to do right now, but HostGator has made it really easy. So just open up your Google. There's my Google. And in the top bar, just type in HostGator.com. Hope I spelled it right. There we go. And click enter to get started. And remember, this is all really easy and hopefully fun. So HostGator has a lot of awesome products like cloud hosting, WordPress hosting, VPS hosting, dedicated, and so on. But what we want to click is just web hosting at the top. And once you click that, you want to focus on the hatchling plan and the baby plan. These are by far the most chosen plans for people that are making their first website. It's the path that's most traveled, and that's what we want to do right now because it means that we're getting set up the right way. So I want you to focus on hatchling right here and baby right here, and also focus on the discounts below them. Right now for me it says 43% off and 40% off on hatchling and baby. We're also not going to get business because it's just more money and it's more features that we don't need right now. Don't worry about this little we recommend sign. So I want to show you a trick now to get a better discount than these numbers off we're seeing right here in the dark blue area. Come up to your top bar again, and right after HostGator, just delete whatever it says right there. Delete, and just type in my name. Just type in Greg and hit enter. And what this will do is take you to a special landing page. You'll see the bonus so you know you're in the right place, and it's going to show an increased discount because I was once like you making my first website, and I want to show you how to get the biggest possible discount at HostGator, which we have right here. And now the we recommend sign is in the right place because I recommend the hatchling plan. There are, of course, other hosts on the web that will help you set up domain hosting and WordPress if you're not sure about HostGator, but I will say that I've tried out a bunch of other hosts and I've had some bad experiences. If you don't know for sure that your host has things like the unmetered disk space and bandwidth, so they don't limit you on how much you can make, and the year-round technical support, the money-back guarantee, if your host doesn't have that stuff guaranteed, then you might very well run into problems. So I just wanted to say that, I want you to make sure that you have those things locked in place, and we certainly know that HostGator does, so it's a really good bet. I, of course, use HostGator for all my websites. It's totaling almost 100 domains and websites at this point. Which brings me to my point in choosing hatchling or baby plan. If you want to run multiple websites, you choose the baby plan. If you want to just run one website and start one website, you choose the hatchling. These two plans are exactly the same otherwise. But you can always upgrade from hatchling to baby later on. So in this demo, we're just going to use the hatchling plan. It's, like I said, the most common route by far. So let's click buy now. Alright, now you're in the HostGator order form, you're in the right place, don't worry, and you're doing a great job. I'm going to walk you through all 6 steps here in the order form so that you can register your hosting flawlessly and get on your way making your WordPress website. Alright, and we're also going to get the best possible discount, of course, because that's important. Alright, so in step 1, choose a domain. Either register a new domain or click I already own this domain and write in your domain name from GoDaddy or somewhere else, and then proceed and complete your hosting order, after which I'll show you how to connect the hosting to the domain name. Alright, that's what you do if you already own a domain name you want to use. But in our case, I want to register a new domain name. And because I couldn't really think of something clever like Google or Facebook or Twitter right now, I'm just going to go with myname.com, gregnarayan.com. And when I was searching on HostGator earlier, I realized that that was actually available. And it wasn't when I checked about a month ago. So got kind of lucky. It's a good time to do this, and I obviously want to get through this process quickly so that no one else can steal my name. Alright, but remember what I said about the keywords. If you can't get your name or the word you want, just write in one additional keyword after it, and you'll likely be able to find that as available. Alright, and go for the .com. Once you have your domain name entered perfectly, we're just going to choose one of them and come down and uncheck domain privacy protection. I don't think we need that right now, but we can add it later if you want. In step 2, it's time to choose a hosting plan. So we know that we want hatchling. That's great. And then for billing cycle, I'm just going to change it from 36 months to 1 month just because I don't like getting locked in. And yeah. But I know that a lot of people like choosing 12 months or something like that. When I made my first order at HostGator like 5 or 6 years ago, I think I chose 12 months too, and it worked out great. So next we want to enter in a username, all lowercase, start with the letter, 2 to 12 characters long. just go with something that you like using, and this will be what you use to log into HostGator. So make it something you like. Then we need a security pin, 4 to 8 characters long with only numbers. So why not something simple, because we'll need this if we ever, for whatever reason, get locked out of our hosting account, which won't happen, but just write those 2 things down somewhere safe. In step 3, enter your billing info. I'm going to do this all really quickly now so we can get on with it and that no one can steal my credit card info. Alright, and you could also pay with PayPal if that's more convenient, but we're going to pay with credit card, and I hope you don't take offense that I blanked out that information. One time I just went through with a tutorial with all the credit card information out there, and then I woke up to like 50 emails from YouTubers saying that they, saw my credit card info, and I'm not using that card anymore, but you guys are all really nice people. I appreciate it. In step 4, we're just going to uncheck additional services. If you want more info, feel free to ask in the comments, or about anything, but I just don't think we need to spend money on all this now. It doesn't really fit our budget, but you could later on if you want. And in step 5, enter a coupon code. Alright, so this part's important. Make sure you already have BigBonus entered right here and click validate. Alright, and we can see it already validated, but of course clicking again doesn't hurt. This just makes sure that you get the largest possible discount at HostGator and save the most money. It's really important that you save money so you can use it on other aspects of making your website, launching your business, making your blog, promotion, email, stuff like that I want you to have money for. So again, this coupon code BigBonus is the best and biggest HostGator coupon code available. I obviously want the best for my audience. If you use this coupon as well as my custom landing page link to sign up to HostGator, I earn a small credit for referring you to their services, which doesn't come at any additional cost to you, and it's really cool because that helps me keep making these videos for everyone and keep helping you out for free on YouTube and everywhere else on the web where we use WordPress. Some people put ads on their videos. I don't like doing that. I'd rather search for the best discounts for you guys and do it that way. So I really appreciate you helping me do what I love doing, and I hope to help you do the same thing with your new website. Alright, with all that said, it's time to come down and review order details in step 6. We get the 24/7 365 phone live chat email support for free. Instant account activation, which will happen once we click checkout now, is free. Money back guarantee for 45 days. Domain registration for 1 year. We got it down from $15 to $5.99, as we said. Hatchling plan of 1 month, got it down from $10.95 to $5.47, which is great. And then these 2 green numbers here, where my mouse is, combined to make this red amount due total. The green discount is the difference between these 2 numbers and these 2 numbers. And the black subtotal is just the 15 plus the $10.95. Alright, so it's a little confusing that the discount is green, but just keep your eyes on the $11.46 here on my screen. If it says that on your screen, you're good to go, and if it's a few cents lower or higher, then you're good to go as well. Let me know any questions. Alright, and then come on down, and once you're feeling good to go, I know I'm feeling good to go, check this box that says you've read their terms of service and so on. And now it's time to click checkout now, finally. Congratulations and welcome to the HostGator family. When you see this screen, it's now time to check our inboxes. And we can come play around in the HostGator customer portal later on. So here we are in our email inboxes, and we just saw the second HostGator email trickle in. The one we want to open now is the email from HostGator.com, your account info. All right, and I will say that if any of the welcome to the HostGator family screens or maybe the logos looked a little different when you were going through the process on your own, then that's just because HostGator is always updating to be bigger and better, and you just saw a little bit of old school HostGator if that's the case. So at this point, we are done with your domain name, we are done with your hosting, and the next step is going to be to install WordPress, which we'll do with this email right here. But first, there's an in-between step I want everyone to do, which is to make sure the domain and the hosting are in fact connected. And you can do that using your first name server and your second name server. So I'm first going to explain how to connect the domain and hosting for people who bought a HostGator domain name, and then I'll explain what you should do if you had your domain name already from GoDaddy or somewhere else. So if you got your domain name at HostGator like we did in the tutorial, then just open up your billing email that you'll see right here. And we're going to click on this portal.hostgator.com link. And if you didn't get this email from billing for whatever reason, you can just type in portal.hostgator.com into your browser. Now we'll log in with the information that HostGator gave us. Hit next, and it'll pop in our password. And hit enter. Then come on over to the left and click domains. All right, and you should see the domain name you bought from HostGator right here. What you want to do is just click on the more drop-down arrow, and then under name servers, just make sure that it says the exact name servers that you saw in your welcome to HostGator email. This email right here. So whatever HostGator sent you in this email as far as first name server and second name server have to match exactly to the dot what shows up in here in your domains. In my case, that's already working. It's just NS8415, blah, 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 NS8416. Yours will be different, by the way. And so I don't need to change them. But if you do, you just click change. And then you write in the new name server 1 and the new name server 2, again, exactly matching your account info email right here. All right, so again, a lot of people don't have to do that step. It's just like a rare case where your name servers aren't in correctly. We can click back to the dashboard now. Go back to our your account info all important email. And the other scenario is if you bought your domain name in advance from GoDaddy or somewhere else. If that's the case, you're going to take your first name server and second name server to GoDaddy. You're going to click on your name and click Manage Domains and then log in. Then you're going to find your domain name on the list of domains, so you might just have one. Just click on the three dots right here and click Manage DNS. And I'm just using that domain name as an example. We're not building with the 4-minute website. Then under name servers, you'll click change, just like you did back at HostGator. You'll write in the first name server in the top box from your HostGator email and the second name server in the bottom box. Make sure to get those periods and all the numbers in there correctly, and then hit save. And then your name servers will update and you will be connected to your hosting. So those are just the two scenarios that you'll have to check on to make sure your domain and your hosting are connected. Really good knowledge and a good step to be confident with if you ever become a web designer and you end up redoing someone's website where the domains were going one direction and then you needed to point those domains to your direction so you could build a new website, for example. Okay, as we saw in the HostGator dashboard, we're obviously now all connected. So let's go ahead and install WordPress. To install WordPress, you can just click on the Your Control Panel link. All right, and now we're gonna pop in our username, which is right here in the HostGator Your Account Info email, and the password. Copy that password, paste it in, and log into cPanel. And welcome to cPanel, aka HostGator Control Panel if it's your first time. There are several ways to install WordPress these days. You could do it from your portal.hostgator.com screen. You could do it with a tool called Quick Install or Softaculous, or even through some custom FTP. If you stay in WordPress long enough, which I'm sure you will, you'll see all of those. But the easiest option for us, especially if it's our first time, is just to click Build a New WordPress Site at the top of cPanel in the popular links. All right, so now all we need to do is select domain for installation. So we have our domain name called How to Make My WordPress Blog that I'm going to use for this tutorial. And now we're going to make sure we leave the directory box blank. Don't put anything in right here because we want WordPress to be installed on the main domain name, not on your domain name / some folder. And click next. And of course, we're not going to let a pro do it for us. We're not going to fall for any of that. And click next. Now just write in your blog title, which should ideally match your domain name, but doesn't have to. Your username, which will be like whoever writes your blog posts in WordPress, so don't make it something too confusing. And then your first name and last name, not as important. And then your email. Make sure you get your email in there correctly because WordPress will be emailing you the directions to log in. Now just check this box right here and it's time to do all the complicated code stuff like JavaScript, CSS, Python, PHP, Ajax, MySQL, database knowledge. Just kidding, you don't have to know any of that because HostGator is going to do all of it for us when we click install. This really is the future of WordPress and this is what people call the one-click installation. All right, so let's do it together. All right, so let's click install. So in the blink of an eye, HostGator has completed our installation and we have our login details right here, including a WordPress username and a WordPress password. Now I know a lot of you guys like to leave this window open here so nothing goes wrong and sort of like it's a trophy for your progress so far that you installed WordPress. That's totally fine. Let's go back to our emails now and we're just going to hit our inbox and see if we got an email from WordPress. All right, super cool. There's the HostGator Marketplace install complete. Open it up and you'll see another link for the admin URL to log in and then that same username and same password and some other cool features. You can browse themes if you want. This is sort of like an upsell, but of course, they're going to try to make a little more from us, and these companies probably do, but maybe you'll be one of those companies someday. We're going to get a free theme, which is obviously Sydney, and all you need to do right now is just click on the admin URL, and we're going to log in. And if you saw that little error screen, don't worry at all. WordPress and the internet overall is a crazy place. If you see any error screens, I'd actually love if you could report them to me in the comments so we can make sure that whoever saw those gets to this page right here. All right, so now that you see your login page, it's a moment of triumph because a lot of people actually can't get here right away. All right, so let me know. I'm gonna go up and actually grab another coffee and just make sure that everyone has time to get to this page right here and for WordPress to load in the background for them. All right, cool. So I'm back with my coffee and we're going to log in now. And to do that, just use your username and password, which will of course change. All right. And again, let me know if you can't get to the login screen for whatever reason. We're also going to click the bookmark link in the upper right so you don't have to remember this page. But if you ever forget it, it's just yourdomainname.com/login or /wp-admin will work. And you can hit remember me if you'd rather not type in your password and bookmark this screen if you'd rather not type in the URL again in the future. All right, so now let's click login. Alrighty folks, welcome to WordPress. What I'm going to do now is give you a little website tour of your new blog, aka WordPress website. They're the same thing when you start off with a blank WordPress software copy that we have right here. And all you need to do is basically just get familiar with me right here. We're going to take a few minutes to do that, and then we're going to start building out a new Sydney website. All right, so first part of the tour is just to make sure that our site is actually showing to the world. Right now, it says your site's displaying a coming soon page, which will basically just look like if I open the browser in incognito by hitting Command-Shift-N, we can see that our website looks like this. And the problem, and even though this looks kind of cool, the problem is that if you ask one of your friends or your colleagues to check out your website and they're not logged in, which they probably won't be, they'll see this and they'll be like, what are you talking about? Also, this doesn't really match our branding. We're not going to use the green colors or themes from Mojo, even though I really love them. So we just want to get rid of this page as quick as possible. But if you do want to keep it up, I totally understand. It just means people won't be able to see your site as you're building it. But if you do want to keep this page up, I totally understand. All right, so we're going to click here to remove that page we just saw. All right, and now we're going to close the WP Forms pop-up and close the OptinMonster pop-up, although those are both really cool tools too. We're going to close Jetpack because that just lets us use features from WordPress.com. We don't want to do that right now. And we're just going to drag some events and like some of the other different little tools here that you can, make it feel more like home that way. Okay, now that our dashboard's looking a little bit cleaner, we are going to click on updates. So when you see an update, that just means that you need to update a plugin or a copy of WordPress. Right now, we don't have to do any of that though. So keep that in mind. It increases your security and your website speed if everything is up to date. Next, we'll just go down the line. Jetpack we're not going to use because that connects us with WordPress.com. We're just going to use WordPress.org. Posts, that's obviously where you'll see your blog posts. So really cool right now, and now is actually a good time to see what our website or blog looks like. So why don't we just click on view on this new post. And we can see, cool, we actually have a Hello World blog post up. Someone commented, nice, already getting some fans. And if we scroll up, then we can click on the site title right here to go back to the home page. So this is what you'll see if you're doing this in 2019, or sometimes they keep the 2019 theme up a little longer. The WordPress team makes these themes for us, like 2019, 2018, 2017. You get the picture. And they're actually really fun to build out with. You might want to try it if you just like the way this looks and fill in the content and go from there. But the problem is your website will have the same theme as hundreds of thousands of other websites and blogs then. And even though it looks good, we want to make our look really good and, more importantly, totally unique. And that's why we're going to change this theme. All right, let's go back to the dashboard by clicking in the upper left. And by the way, this button, if you click it on the upper left, just goes from home page that the world sees, aka the front end, to dashboard that you see when you're editing, aka the back end. All right, so that was posts. If you click on media, this is where all your images will go once you upload them. And if you click on pages, then you'll have all of your demo pages. Pretty cool. We also have comments, not a ton of comments left, just that one from a WordPress commenter, a little hamster. And we have WP Forms, which is a plugin that we're not going to use today. Marketplace is where you can buy themes. We're not going to do that today. And appearance is actually the most important place because this is where we can browse our themes. Right now you have 2019, 2017, and 2016. Yours might be a little bit different, not to worry. And if you ever want to change to a different theme, you can go from the active theme, like 2019, to 2017 by clicking activate on a different theme. In our case, however, I just want to remove them by opening them up and clicking delete. And okay, to save space on our theme. On our copy of WordPress. And by the way, you can always get free WordPress themes and free WordPress plugins back if you delete them, like maybe by accident. You can get them back right here through WordPress by clicking upload or in the plugins library. So there's no harm or negative impact on that unless your site, of course, totally relies on that theme or plugin. All right, so speaking of plugins, we can now jump down to the plugins tab. All right, and we're actually going to do a little more housekeeping here. So we remove those themes we don't want to use in appearance themes. And now we're going to remove the plugins we don't want to use so we all have a clean slate and are on the same page. And throughout the tutorial, we'll add in some new plugins as well. All right, so first off, Akismet will protect our copy of WordPress from spam, so we're going to keep that one activated. Next up, you have Google Analytics by Monster Insights. We're actually going to deactivate that one because we're going to set up Google Analytics manually. I just like having everyone know how to do that skill manually from within actually Google Analytics itself. All right, when a plugin has the white background, it means it's not activated. When it has the light blue background, it means it's activated. And so now we can delete Google Analytics Monster Insights. Hello Dolly just puts a little quote in our blog in the upper right here. So it's kind of a cool, super old school plugin. You can keep it if you want. It's made by the founder of WordPress, so pretty cool plugin, but we're not going to keep it today just because it takes up a little space and I want to be super, super lean on the space. All right, we're of course going to delete Jetpack. We have to deactivate it first though because that one is from WordPress.com. Then we're going to deactivate Mojo because we're not going to use their themes. And if you're someone who kind of likes just keeping clutter around in case you'll use it later, then don't, because it's going to make your site go slow. And now is when you can become an uncluttered person. All right, very cool, guys. We're obviously going to deactivate Opted Monster, although they are a cool tool I use on my main blog, dearblogger.org, to collect subscribers. And we're going to deactivate WP Forms Lite, submit, and deactivate. All right, so our site now is super lightweight and super fast. If we click to the home page, we'll see that was super fast loading, blink of an eye. All right, let's click back to the dashboard and finish our tour and then start building. So we have users, that's just where you see yourself. You can click on yourself and you can change your password. Just scroll down to where it says generate new password, click it, and then pop in whatever password you think would be good, but don't steal my password. Confirm the use of it and update it. You can also change the color scheme right here as well. And I'd change the color scheme, but that means every one of you would have to look at a different color and the button colors would all just look different as we proceed. So default should work. Alrighty folks, so if you wanted to add a new user or a new website admin to your site, you would just go under users and click add new. And that way you could create a new user with their name here that they choose, and then give them a password, send it to their email, and this is how a lot of people hand off a website they build for a client. And you can have multiple admins, or you can add like a contributor who's going to guest post, for example, and that would be limited access. All right, so users are actually really important. Now that you know about them, you're good to go. We can also click tools. This is where you do your importing and exporting to WordPress if you need to move an entire site or maybe move from WordPress.com to WordPress.org. We of course have a video on that on the channel. If you need it, let me know. And lastly, we have settings. So settings is obviously like where the most important stuff in WordPress goes, and for some reason they put it at the very end, maybe because it's kind of boring. In settings, we can make our first visual change to WordPress. So if we right click and open the site in a new tab, you can see we have our site title here and our tagline, just another WordPress site. And you can change that right here in site title and in tagline. So there you go. And we'll click save. And when we refresh, we can see we made our first visual change. Good work. You can also change up your WordPress address URL and site address URL if you want the www in there. But if you do change one of these, make sure that this one looks exactly the same as this one. Otherwise, your site will break. You can also change the email that WordPress sends notifications to, and some cool things like the date format and time format. But ours looks good, so we're just going to leave it as is. Alright folks, that does it for our tour of WordPress, and it's now time to start building by changing our theme. We can open up our little to-do list here and do one massive sweeping cross-off of steps 1, 2, and 3. You have your own working copy of WordPress.org. In other words, you're basically on the same level playing field as other brands who use WordPress, like Forbes, Disney, Zoella, Mashable, TechCrunch, Katy Perry, and so on and so forth. And you could go off and build a website like those ones, but of course I hope you'll stick with us and build a Sydney website. We can also close our cPanel window, even though you might want to click View My Installs. You can go here and see all the different WordPresses you've made as you start your WordPress empire and do things like change them or uninstall them. Alright, back to WordPress. Now it's time to install our copy of the Sydney theme. So let's do it. Click to our dashboard. Now let's hover on Appearance and click Themes. And click Add New at the top. And in Popular, you can usually find Sydney. Alright, should be around number 12. There she is. So we can just click Install on Sydney. And we'll see what's changed in the past 3 years. And activate. Alright, and now just from doing that much, you have a new theme and you have some recommendations. So the first change we see that it's pretty hard to notice is that Sydney wants Elementor now, whereas before it said Site Origin Page Builder. So that's big. I love Elementor and I love Site Origin Page Builder for both being good with drag and drop, but I think you're really gonna love the Elementor experience. Super ultra modern. It's super ultra modern, guys, and we're gonna see what we can make in just a second. Alright, so let's click Begin Installing Plugins. That way we don't have to do them manually through our Plugins tab like we saw before. Through our Plugins tab. And then we can just click on the big radio box to select all of them and hit Bulk Actions, Install, and Apply. Alright, cool. Now if we go to Plugins, we'll see that we have 3 plugins total. We just need to activate Elementor and activate that Sydney toolbox. Alright, so really cool Elementor guide here. You might want to watch if you have time later, or now. It's only 3 minutes. But essentially you'll be getting the value of this video in this video right here on YouTube. So let's stick with the course of the tutorial. Alright, let's go back to plugins and let's activate Sydney Toolbox. Very cool, and now you probably can't wait to see what we made. All right, so it looks cool, it's different. We have this like transparent disappearing header. Unfortunately, it doesn't look anything like the Sydney demo sites, which you can find at Sydney theme demo is what I usually Google. We can click the link to A themes, the awesome creators. Pretty cool, chosen by Elementor. It's a nice little banner. And then we can click demo. And the demo is going to be our guide today. All right, we're going to actually learn how to make everything you see right here. And I think today we're actually just going to make exactly what you see here. In some previous versions, we've gotten crazy and like mixed it up with our own features. But basically learning these exact features, the structures, the best practices, basically doing Sydney by the book will, I think, make you the most powerful as a web designer in WordPress going forward. All right, so we have about like 14 different layers to make, if it's like 1, 2, 3, so on and so forth. So why don't we just get started? All right, let's go back to our website, and now let's click to the dashboard. And the first thing we need to do is actually make a page which is going to hold all of this content. We're going to make a blog page after that, but for now it's all about the home page. And in order to have a good home page, we just need a new page called home. So let's hover on pages, add new, X out of this notification, and we're just going to call this page home and publish it, and publish. We can also create our blog page to get that out of the way. Let's just click add new on the left. And of course, this one's going to be called blog and publish. Publish. So now we need to choose where these pages go on our theme. And if we hover on settings, reading, there's 2 perfect places for those 2 pages. All you need to do is check your homepage displays a static page instead of your latest blog post. So we're basically making this website not a blog anymore. We're making a website with a static page, and that static page on the home page is going to be home. And the post page where the blog is going to go is going to be blog. And save it. So now when we click to our front end, we'll see that we just have a home page here and not a blog post. And basically we can start filling it in. Great job. So you might think it's impossible that we make a page like this with all this white space look like a page like this with all this amazingly cool content, but I'm here to show you it's all possible right now. So the first thing we want to build is the image gallery slider at the top, and we can do that by clicking on customize. All right, and now we're going to click header area, and we're going to click header type, and we want to make sure that the front page header type, our front page is the home page, is full screen slider. And site header type, which is the rest of the pages, can be image or whatever we want. All right, so make sure those settings are there and then go back. Now we're going to click header slider, and we're going to upload an image for our first slide. All right, so how do we upload an image? Well, if you want to get the images from the Sydney demo, then you can right click anywhere on the slider, hit inspect. We're in Google Chrome, by the way, which makes this all really easy. Then you just need to scroll up until you see the div classes slider container, which are basically the slides in HTML form. And what you'll need to do is find the images inside them, which is a little tricky. Like the first one I can see is right here, background image URL, MK0. So you're going to want to double click on top of this area where my mouse is now, and then you're going to want to double click again on the HTTP part. Get it so you have a cursor, and then you can just highlight the HTTPS all the way through the whole image up until the JPG. Then you're going to want to right click, copy it, open a new browser tab, and paste it in. And that's basically how you get an image from somewhere on the web. Just hit enter, and there's that original background image. Now we can right click, we can save image as, and you can call it like one, they've called it, you can call this like Sydney slider 1 and save it. All right, then we can go back to our customize window and we can select image, select files. So this will basically look for an image on our computer and it'll find the Sydney slider 1 we just got, and then we'll select it and click open. Once the image uploads, just click choose image, And now we'll have our very first slider, and with the image in there, the text pops in beautifully. So now that we know how to use an image from the Sydney demo, let's also learn how to get an image from Pixabay, which is where I like getting images from around the world. That's pixabay.com with an X. Once you're on Pixabay, you can see there's tons of free striking images that you might want to choose. Alright, so I like this one right here. This is really cool. You can click on the categories too and choose different images from people or different images from urban. This is actually a Sydney image right here. That's pretty cool. You can see maybe Sydney got their images from Pixabay, who knows. Alright, so I think it'd be really cool to have an image of Sydney itself in here. So let's look up Sydney. And there we can see we have a lot to choose from. I'm going to go with a darker background image because our text is white. Alright, I think this image should do right here. It's super cool. I like how the grays interact. It's kind of like a morning shot, which you don't see often. And we're going to hit that free download to get the image. Choose your size, so 1920 is a perfect size, and we can download it. And you can also sign up for free or just choose I'm not a robot and hit the free download. Alright, just rename it Sydney Slider 2 and save. Okay, so I changed my mind. I actually want to get this image, which has the Sydney Bridge. Super cool. Everyone needs more fireworks in their lives. So download, not a robot. And download, save it, and then just to mix it up, because we need some people pictures here, let's try searching for a couple, and we want like a really enchanting image that makes people click into our website, and that's going to be just something that looks like there's like a little bit of mystery. Really the images do make a big difference, guys. Like if you pick an image that is just kind of awkward to look at, it might get clicks, but it's more likely if you pick a mysterious image or just, generally decent looking folks. They don't have to be good looking, but just cool looking usually works. And, ooh, that's cool. Yeah, that's super cool. You wonder like what these two are doing in front of that lake. Is it a proposal? Is it a breakup? We're not sure. All right, so let's click free download. Download image. All right, I'm not a robot. Download. That should do it. Okay, now that we have our slider images downloaded, back to WordPress we go. Let's scroll down to second slide and select image. Upload files, select files. And we can get all of our Sydney sliders like the Opera House and the Bridge and the couple, just in case we want to swap them in and out. All right, very good. Let's choose our fireworks for the second one. Choose image. And now for the third slide, select image, let's choose the couple. Choose image, and because there's a fourth option, let's make that one like the morning at the Opera House, the morning after someone blogged and then saw fireworks and then got engaged and now they're at the Opera House. So choose image, and perfect. Now we just need some text to basically explain the images, but doesn't necessarily have to explain it, more just like something relatable that people can get behind, and it can just be one word. So for the first one, instead of click the pencil to change, I'm just going to say create and get rid of that subtitle, and then write something the world will love. Now I'm going to scroll down to the fireworks and write amaze with your adventures. Down below I'm going to write love, of course, everything you do, and then below that I'm gonna write share knowledge with your community and publish. So now feels like a good time to change our button text too, and you can actually just click on the button arrow here and it'll take you to the right section, which is the call to action button. So let's replace click to begin with get started. Alright, there's also a slider mobile behavior option. Not totally sure what that'll do, but we always want our site to be responsive. Alright, that does it for our header slider area here. We're going to go back And we're all done in the header area, so let's hit publish one more time. And now let's X out. It should take us to our home page. We can see we have this cool slider. Everything's gonna move on its own. Awesome. If one of our images, like for example, the image of the couple is a little bit cut off, then what you can do is edit the image. You can go to the dashboard to do that, and you can click media, and then just open the image and click edit image. Then click on top of it and drag so there's a different selection which shows more of what you want to show. Alright, and then click the crop button. Now just hit save. Alright, so now when we X out, we can check out the home page and we'll see if WordPress understands that update yet. And maybe not yet because the slider image, the old one, is still in place. So let's hit customize, header area, header slider, and just replace that image of the couple with the new image. And it actually got bounced out because we edited it. So we have to put the image back in the slider. Choose image, publish, X out, and we should be good to go. Alright, so next up we want to create our menu because it doesn't look good with this link that says create your menu here. What we can do is just click that link, and now we can give the menu a name, like menu is perfect, we don't need that one. And then you can choose pages from the left by checking them and clicking add to menu, but we already have those pages in the menu. We just need to remove what we don't want, like the sample page. So I'm just opening the tab drop down and clicking remove, and it's gone. And then we have just home and blog, which is all we need. If you want to make a custom link to another page on your site or something that's not a page, maybe it's a category, you could use categories for that. But maybe you want to link to like a Google website or a Facebook site, you just write in that link right here, like facebook.com/u, and then put some text in and add to menu. But we don't need that for now. Alright, so let's create the menu. And then we need to choose the location, otherwise it won't show up. So primary menu is the only location that works, and save menu. Alright, now when we click to our home page, we should have a menu with our 2 pages on it. Very cool. So going down, I want to show you how to get that cool second section in your website, and then also how to make the button on the header right here go down to that first section. So to do that, we just need to use Elementor for the first time. Let's go back to our site and let's click edit page at the top. And the first thing I want to do, because right now we're using the Gutenberg page editor, which is new and unfamiliar, even though I think it's going to be good in the future. I think a lot of people are still using classic editor, which is how WordPress used to look and what made WordPress so popular. So if you want to use that, which we definitely do now, click plugins, add new, and then where it says classic editor right here, or you might have to search for classic editor, just install now and then activate it. So now when we're on our home page and we click edit page, you're going to get the old editing screen, which is a lot easier to enter in like your own text. You can open up the kitchen sink and get the Microsoft Word as tools or add media for an image. You get the picture. But what we want to do, because we have Elementor under our belt and it works so well with Sydney, is edit with Elementor. And the first step to do that is to make the template Elementor full width. Beautiful. Now just update it. So now the sidebar won't show up on our home page. And we get that beautiful full width content like you see right here. Alright, next up we are going to go to our Edit with Elementor area. Click that blue button and it'll take you to the Elementor canvas. And now right beneath our image slider, it's basically time to start creating. So you'll find the elements in the left-hand column. These are all just different elements that are available to use. Don't get too overwhelmed because we're going to play around with the most important ones and then you can kind of go off on your own. So the first element that we want to get used to is called intersection. Let's drag that one in right here into the dotted area. Alright, beautiful. And you can see there's another area beneath it to add more content, but we want to focus where we just put that intersection. If you click plus like I just did, it'll bring you back to the elements, and it's basically asking us to drag in some more, well, elements. So let's try dragging in an icon box. Boom. Then to go back to the elements, you can just click on the 9 boxes right here in the upper left, And let's drag in another icon box on the right-hand column. Cool. Now, just because the Sydney demo comes with 3 icon boxes, let's go ahead and right-click on this black icon right here that looks like an open book, and let's duplicate. Beautiful. Now let's click back to our elements, and why don't we also add a heading above those icon boxes. All right, you can see we can get it right there in this section. And then let's also add just some text beneath the icons. So text editor down below. All right, you wanna make sure you get it in like a wide blue area so it's not inside one of those icon boxes. Takes a little practice, beautiful, and there we go. Oh, actually just kidding, we don't want a text editor, and if you don't want something, you can always right click on the pencil and delete it. What we want is just a button. So button, down you go button. Again, takes a little smidgen of practice. Beautiful. All right, so what we're gonna do now is make our heading text say our services. You can double click and then start editing right on top of it if you'd like, which I find easiest. Cool, and then you can choose how the text shows up by centering it. And you can also click style and play around with all sorts of cool features like the color, the typography, which is the font, and even some shadow. Let's go ahead and change up the icons so they look like the Sydney demo. So the first heading will just say photography. The second one will say strategy. And the third one will say design. This is where you could highlight your own services or your own skills that your brand offers. All right, I'm also going to click underneath each individual icon and get rid of the click to edit option so it just has that pretty lorem ipsum. And when you click on a specific icon box, you can also edit it in the left-hand column if you're more comfortable using this window. Now let's change the icons by choosing the icon drop-down list, and you can just type in the icon that you might want. In this case, we want the retro camera. For strategy, we want the cube, I guess you'd call it a cube. And then for design, we're gonna want a computer, or maybe it's a laptop. In the view tab, you can choose whether this is stacked, or maybe it's just framed. Nice. And let's make the other icons framed as well. Now we can easily adjust the color of that circle by going to style, and we're gonna choose a primary color. So the primary color will change both the icon and the circle. And if you want to get the color from the Sydney buttons, which in this case I do, just to be precise, you can right click on top of any one of those red buttons and inspect it. And then somewhere on the right, you'll see the background color, which is kind of an intriguing orange-red. Might be one of those colors that incentivizes people to click. So if it is, we're gonna use it. Now let's come back and let's paste in that color hex right here. So you get the red from Sydney. We can do that for strategy. Click style, primary color, and paste, and we can do that for design. Click on the icon, click style, primary color, and just paste in the 6-digit color hex. All right, we're also gonna need that red on our button, so let's click on the button, and first and foremost, let's center it, and let's change the text to, in caps, see some more services. Now let's click style, and we can change the background color of the button. So it was a primary color for the icon, but it's a background color for the button. Beautiful. It looks like that button's a little bit too close for comfort to that strategy icon text. So why don't we give the button some spacing? In my case, I like doing padding, and I like going downwards, which just means if you want to space out 2 sections, you put the padding downwards from one instead of upwards from the other. It's kind of just a good practice as you build a site so you know where your padding is. Here's what I mean. Let's click on the settings for the icon boxes. Now let's click advanced, and where it says padding, unlink it and just give it some bottom padding of 20, which means there's space on the bottom of it in between itself and the next element. 20 might not be enough, so how about 28? Perfect. We can also do that for services. Just click services, advanced, padding bottom of maybe 18. But if you don't unlink the values, it'll apply to every direction. So padding on the top, left, bottom, all that. We just want it on the bottom. All right, you got it. Now we're gonna update the site, and let's click to the home page and see what we made. To check out what we made, you can click on the hamburger menu in the upper left and then click View Page. All right, and so below our beautiful slider, we have a beautiful Our Services section. Looks pretty good, a lot like the demo. Of course, we might want to bring those icons down a little bit in size. And we want to get that little red border beneath the Our Services header. So let's go back to Edit with Elementor, scroll down, and let's click on the icons. All right, we're gonna click Style, and then under Size, we're gonna play with the size a little bit. So we just need to drag on this little bar, and it looks like somewhere around like 32 would be perfect. You can also give it a border width in this section, which can make this thinner or even thicker. All right, so we're getting pretty darn close there, and it really helps to know exactly how the design works, even though it was easier when Elementor was in Page Builder by site origin, because you'd just basically drop in the icon and it would look like the icon. But even though this is a little bit more work now, it'll go a lot of it further for us in the long run, trust me. Okay, let's do the same to strategy. We're gonna go to Style. We're gonna make that size a cool 40, and then the border width just 1. And then for design, same thing. Style. We're gonna make the size 40, and the border width 1. And you can also change the border radius if you wanted that like more like a square. Just pop in a different number, and it might become a square. All right, that's awesome. So the last thing we need in our services section is just to get the Our Services border underneath the header. All right, and I'll be honest, I haven't figured out how to get that little red border beneath the Our Services header right here. If one of you can, I would love if you let me know. I'll like give you a special gift or something if you comment that, and everyone will be really proud. But as a substitute for that, we can actually make a cool effect just by clicking on motion effects for the header and giving it an entrance animation of, how about zoom in? Super cool. And before we view our site, I know we need that option that lets us click the Get Started button and we go down to this Our Services section. In order to do that, we're going to use an anchor link. And in order to do that, we first need to click on the section where our services is in, the outer section. Now we're going to click Advanced, bring your mouse down to CSS ID, and we're just going to give this an ID of our choosing. So in our case, Our Services is a perfect ID, and hit Update. All right, cool. So now we're going to come up and we want to edit the button, but in order to do that, we need to be back in Customizer window. So let's click on the hamburger, and we're going to go back to the dashboard, and then we're going to click Appearance, Customize. All right, now hit the pencil, and we need to put a link in our Get Started button. So right now it says hashtag primary, but because our ID is Our Services, just make it hashtag Our Services and publish. Now let's see what we made. All right, let's open our site in a new window, and let's try clicking on our button, and it takes us right down to Our Services. Perfect. Phenomenal job. All right, so now that we are cruising, let's move on and make the next services section, which is more services, aka what else we provide. So similar to the Our Services section, we need an intersection. Right here, we can just drag in that intersection into the dotted area. All right, and then just like this section, we need some icons. But in this case, we're gonna stack them, and we're gonna get this image on the right, which I'll explain in a moment. So let's start with the left-hand column and click to our elements by clicking on the 9 boxes. And now let's drag in an icon box. But in our case now, we can actually just do an icon list. So let's try that. So we only need 1 of them. And that's not gonna cut it. That's not enough icons. Or, well, what I meant is they're way too small. So delete that, and let's go back to our icon boxes. 1, except for now let's make the icon position left aligned. That should do it. Yep, that's what we're going for. And now we can go back to our elements and drag in another icon box. Just make sure to put it beneath the icon box there. Back to elements, and then 1 more icon box. Oops, that one snuck in beneath everything. So I'm gonna hit Command Z or Control Z. That's what I like doing a lot, just to keep those back edits quick. Icon box beneath the other icon box. Now let's make them all align to the left. Nailed it. Okay, and then at the top, we just need some words that are another heading. So back to our elements, heading, and drop it in the left-hand column. Beautiful. Now, one of the coolest things I thought when I saw the Sydney demo was this iPhone. I know it's like an iPhone 4, but how did they get this iPhone to sit sideways at an angle? I've only been used to traditional images where you're looking at it like straight forward. How did they do that? Well, sorry to burst your bubble of excitement. It's actually just one image that someone took of an iPhone, and the iPhone was already positioned sideways. So that's how it's done. And maybe you already knew that, but I didn't at first. To make things really easy, we can just right click on that iPhone and save image as. Or you could get an image of an iPhone from the Apple website or from google.com, but just make sure it's copyright free. So we're going to call this Sydney iPhone and save it. Now let's go back to our Elementor. Now we just need an image in our right hand column, so why not grab the image element, throw it in there. Now let's click choose your image in the left hand column. I've already uploaded the iPhone, so we can just insert media, and boom, there it is, perfectly centered. We just need to work on the text in the left a little bit and get those icons the right color again. Alright, so let's start at the top. Our heading text is what else we provide, question mark. Then we have an icon title of global coverage, and the icon is the globe. So we'll just search for globe. Alright, you get the picture here. We're also going to make the view framed, and then we're going to play with the colors and the size. Next up, we have an icon title of free coffee. Choose the icon of coffee, of course, and let's frame it. And lastly, we have an icon with a title of development, and that icon is going to be the gears. Cool. We'll frame it. Now we basically just want to assign that red color to all of our icons. So let's click on where we have the correct color, like in photography. Let's go back to style, and let's just borrow the primary color from up here. Just copy it and come down to the global coverage icon, style, primary color, paste it in. Alright, second icon, style, primary color, paste it in. So a little bit tedious, as you do each step, but at least it's easy. At least we have a plan for the steps and we don't have to code everything out. All right, now we're gonna bring the sizes down of each icon. So let's click on the top one and let's make it just 40 again, and then border width of 2. Free coffee, same thing. Size is gonna be 40, border width 2, and development, same thing, size 40, border width 2. All right, and then lastly, our global coverage free coffee development text has to be smaller. Let's click anywhere on the title itself. Now click content, and that title HTML tag is just going to be something smaller, like a H6. All right, so that works great. Same thing for free coffee, content, title it at H6, and development, content, title it at H6. Now we're just going to get rid of the extra text so it looks like the circle icon is lined up with all of the text and the title, and it doesn't have this empty white space right here. All right, so let's get rid of some of that lorem ipsum and some more lorem ipsum. And then second time, delete and delete. And then in the final icon, just delete and delete. All right, you nailed it, guys. Good job. The last thing we want to do is just get a little bit more spacing in between the header and the icons themselves. So like we did before, let's click on the heading, advanced, and we're going to put some padding on its bottom. Just unlink it and then throw in a little bit of padding. Super duper cool. To change the background color of a section, like what else we provide, we can get the color from the Sydney demo by right-clicking anywhere on the background and hitting inspect. And then on the right-hand column, it'll give us the goods. So we can see the background color is this nice gray. Just right-click that entire hex, including the pound sign. Come back to our Elementor window. Click on the section settings. Now click Style. Background Classic, which is a color. click on the color, and just paste in that hex. I know you're learning a lot about Elementor here, but I hope it's easy and I hope your site is coming to life. You got this. The only problem is our section is not full width now, so let's make it full width by clicking Layout, Stretch Section. Now the background goes all the way across, and it looks like we just need a little bit of space above and beneath it. In order to accomplish that, we can go to Advanced, unlink the margin and the padding, and what we want here is some padding which is in between the borders of the section, like up top and down below. So that would be padding top, say 30, and padding bottom, say 30. Maybe a little more on the bottom. And then in between the section above it and the what else we provide section, that would be margin. Margin's going to be outside of the background and outside of the border. So margin top would do it there. Or better yet, we can add some margin from the upper section beneath it, just so we can keep track that we're always adding margin, pushing things downwards. All right, upper section settings, advanced, margin unlinked, and bottom is going to be something around the realms of 38. Maybe more if we want to take advantage of more white space. Beautiful. All right, and we can update it. And now, before we see what we made, we want to add one more anchor link, which goes from the button here to the next section. So just like we did with our slider button, going to the Our Services section, what we want to do is set up an ID on the section where we want people to land on. So click Section Settings. Make sure you're in Advanced and just set up an ID of what else, or something, you know, that explains what your header is here and what this section is called, because you're going to have a lot of IDs at some point and you're going to want to remember them and not use them twice. Now we just need to click the button where people will click to get here, and for button link, just make it hashtag what else and update it. And now let's see what we made. So here we are on our blog, and we're going to click the first link to go down, and now we can click the second link to go down even more. Cool. If your Sydney button anchor links take you too far down the screen, for example, when we click on our Get Started, it goes past the Our Services header, just means we need to change the position of an ID. Let's go back to our editor, and let's see that we put the ID on this section here. ID is Our Services right there. Really, in this case though, we can't make the ID any higher because this is the first section after the slider that we can edit. So what we will do is we'll add some padding in this section, and that padding is going to go on the top to push the title downwards. All right, let's try something along the lines of 60. And then to get rid of this excess white space, let's give it a margin, which is a negative margin. So you can write in a number like 60 on the top, and then just put the negative sign up there, and it'll pull that section towards the slider. Sort of an advanced web design trick, not something you'll see in a lot of beginner tutorials, because margin is always just looked at in a positive number, but this can really help trim off the fat on your site if you know how to use it to precision. In our case, I'm just making sure that blue line touches the slider. Should be right around 113 for our site. And now we'll update it. So now let's see what happens when we click on our button for Get Started. And it goes down maybe a little too far again, but at least it got the heading in there. So we can go back to Elementor and just give it a little more padding on the top, like let's say 90, and then update it. All right, so one more time, and we're in business. That looks great. And we can see if I close my downloads bar here, that slider image fills entirely the full screen of the website, touching right at the bottom. Awesome, great job. All right guys, so our next Sydney website section to create is Do You Want To, with these two button options that should take us to different parts of the site. So to get these set up, let's head back to Elementor. And while we're here, I'm just gonna put a little more padding around what else we provide, because I noticed that the Sydney demo has a little bit more of that. Okay, so in advance, we're gonna go with padding top of 60 and padding bottom of 60, or 72. And as you can tell, I'm pretty much eyeballing in most cases. But having a good eyeball, now that's a skill. So the next section, like we said, is Do You Want To? This is a perfect example for our intersection because we can clearly see there's two columns. Each one has a slightly different overlay color and then some text and a button inside them. So even if it looks complicated, it really shouldn't be. Except for that red line underneath the headings. That's complicated. So let's go back to our Elementor editor. Let's go to the elements by clicking on the 9 boxes and drag in an intersection to the dotted area. Very cool. Now in each column on the left and right, we just need a bit of text with the text editor. So one text editor on the left, elements, one text editor on the right, back to elements, and then we need a button on the left, and of course a button on the right. All right, nailed it. Then lastly, we just need a heading up top. So elements and heading up top. All right, and now let's start designing. So the heading will say, do you want to ... It'll be centered. And we already know this section's gonna need some padding to push the content inwards. So let's click on the section settings, advanced, unlink the padding, and on the top, let's give it somewhere around 40. Very cool, and the bottom also could be 40. Okay, nailed it. Now we're gonna change up the text. So the first paragraph is gonna say, take some time and meet our employees, ? And the second section is not gonna say that. I'm not sure why Sydney repeated that twice. Let's edit that second column there, Sydney. So we're gonna make our second column say, get social with us, ? All right, it's really easy to center that text if you use the center button, but even better is if you go to style and just click center there, because otherwise you're gonna create some unnecessary HTML around the text. Next, let's work on our buttons. Let's center the click here button, and let's also center the other click here button. So what we want is for the buttons to be this Sydney orange-red color, and we want the background to be transparent when we're not hovering on the button, but to come into color when we are hovering on the button. It's a little bit complicated to set this up, but nothing's too tough for us. So first off, let's make sure we have that button color. We can click on one of our icons, get the style from it, and just grab that primary color. Now let's go to the button and let's make some edits. So click on style for your button. We're gonna make the text color equal to that Sydney orange red. And we're also gonna make the border color that color. So down in border type, choose border solid. Give the border a width of, let's say, 2 pixels and a color of that Sydney red. All right, now it's gonna be time to make that background color transparent. So hit background color and drag the right slider all the way down to nothing. And the background goes away. All right, so now we want the button background color to come in when we hover on it. So let's go to the hover settings. Now let's go from the normal tab to the hover tab. And we're gonna make sure the background color is actually that orange red when you hover on it. Cool, but the color, like the text color, has to be white. So choose text color. Make sure you get rid of that button color. It wants to stay there sometimes. Get out of there. So choose text color of white. All right, and it looks like we've achieved our effect. Awesome. I can't quite tell if there's like a black line around the border too, or if it's just that blue line that's making it look darker. I think our button is perfect though. Okay, so let's just change up the button text by clicking content, and we're gonna say, instead of click here, meet the team. And then, so we don't have to do that work twice, we are gonna right click on the pencil icon and duplicate the button. And then we're just gonna click on the pencil and hold and drag it to the right. Nailed it. And then just delete the other gray button. Nailed it. And we'll change that second button text to find us on social media. Awesome. Okay, so this section is gonna make a lot more sense in terms of the backgrounds and the overlays if we actually have a background on the section. Why don't we update our progress so far? And then we're gonna click on section settings and style and give ourselves a background image. To create a background image, just click on the classic button and you'll get the color option and, more importantly, the image option. So click on image, and now we do need another image as a background. So let's try going over to the demo So earlier we learned how to get the exact image that Sydney has as one of its backgrounds, but that can get a little bit hectic. So why don't we just go to Pixabay and look up a common background like workspace. Beautiful. Now with relative ease, we can choose one of these cool backgrounds like this one with the business page open. Free download it, download. And we're just gonna call this one Sydney Workspace BG for background and save it. So now we'll go back to Elementor and we can just upload that file, select the file from our computer. We can just double click it and then lastly insert that media. And by doing that, we have a really cool background. The background's a little bit too lit up for us though, so why don't we put a background overlay on it? You can click background overlay, then click classic and make it a color. And all you really need to do is just drag and make it gray or more gray or less gray or whatever you want to do. Okay, so that looks about as dark as we can make our background. What I want to do now is just make sure that the colors are red where they need to be and that we have our overlay set up. So what we can do is go to the individual columns and click edit and then go to style and we can give those their own background color. So let's click background type within this column, color, and let's add some darkness to it. All right, so maybe we'll go with like more of a black, but then we can also make the overlay a little bit more revealing. Okay, cool. Once you get the right RGB color, you can just copy it as such and come back to the second column and see that I'm clicking on this little book-like black icon right here. It's kind of hard to see, but that will get you to the column settings. Style, background type classic, color, and we're gonna paste in that same RGBA color. Okay, so the only few things left are to make these columns spread out. We can do that by giving them some margin on the left and right. So let's click on the column on the left, advanced, margin. All right, so margin's gonna be unlinked. And then on the right, we're gonna want something that will separate it from the column on the left. So it looks like 20 is about right, you know, maybe a little bit less, maybe like 16. And then we can go to the other column on the right, click the column settings again, this tiny little black icon, advanced, unlink the margin, and now we want column margin on the left. Boom, perfect. We also need to increase the space beneath the button so there's a little more gray beneath it. So we're gonna go to the first column and click on padding, unlink it, and then we're gonna click on bottom padding and make it something like 16. We gotta do the same thing then for the column on the right, column settings, unlink the padding, bottom padding of 16. All right, and it's coming together. And while we're at it, I'm going to add some padding on the top as well so that the text that we can barely see has some more gray space above it. And same thing in the column on the left. Okay, now let's make that text a lighter color. Let's click on the text heading, click on text color, and we're going to need to go with a much lighter gray. That looks reasonable. All right, let's copy this hex. And before we leave here, let's make that a bold gray. So let's go to typography and make this weight of a default bold. And we can even bring the font size up a tad bit more just so it's a little more clear. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Next, just right click on the pencil and duplicate that text, and we're gonna drag it into the right hand column so we don't have to make those changes again. And delete that other heading. Beautiful. Just change up the text in the right hand column. This section is so close to being done now, we just need to make our header that Sydney orange red. So let's click on the button, style, we can get that red color from the button itself, copy it, come back to the heading, click style, text color. Whew, this is exhausting, but we are forging ahead. Nailed it. And now last but not least, we have to make this section go the full width so that it actually looks reasonable. Let's click edit section, layout, stretch section. Perfect. And we have basically recreated the Sydney Do You Want To section, except for it's a little bit darker here, so it's a little bit more clear. Maybe we can make our background overlay on the section settings, style, background overlay a little bit darker, even though our color is like fully black. If we make that hashtag 0 all the way across, that will be 6 zeros and it will be totally dark. We can make our columns a little bit darker too. Let's click on the column settings, style. All right, so color, we're gonna make that background just a little bit darker. Why don't we just make that background type hashtag 000 and then drag on the right to generate some opacity. All right, and then we can copy that RGBA, copy, column settings, style, background color, delete the current RGBA and paste in the new one, and update. Great job. All right, moving downwards on our Sydney demo, we need to create the Our Team section, which is really beautiful with this hover and the social icons. Fortunately for us, after we've done all this hard custom work in Elementor, we finally get a custom Sydney widget. How do we use that? Well, we just go to our elements and scroll all the way down to the Sydney elements. And here we have our 8 themes employees carousel. So let's drag it in and let's see what we got. And we got basically nothing. So we're back to custom developing. Let's click on the team gray area and it should take us to the list of employees. Now in the olden days, we would add employees in our dashboard in a specific tab of the dashboard called employees, and then they would fill in here. In this case with Elementor, we just do it all from the Elementor builder right in front of us right here. So to get started, you just need to click add an item, and I've already done that, so we have item 1. Let's click on it and open it up and see what we can make. All right, not bad. So first we need an image of a person, and I can go to Facebook for that. First one will probably be yourself if you're maybe the CEO or the president. So I'm just gonna go to Facebook and I'm gonna grab like any random old picture that, I mean, maybe you have one on your phone, like your iPhone or your Android, but we can just right click any image on Facebook and right click it again. And you wanna right click it until you get the save image as button. Perfect. Save it, we'll call this one Facebook Sydney photo and save it. So I'm gonna head to Instagram to get a picture of our building managers, and I'm not sure why they only have 2 posts because I post for them almost every day. You should definitely come check out our cute family, but at least we have 1 photo. So let's see what we're gonna do here. We're gonna screenshot it, Command-Shift-4. I'm gonna screenshot this to get a picture, and we're gonna go with that. Okay. All right, so now that you have a few photos, maybe you got them from Facebook or Google, your phone, Reddit, wherever you get them, you want to come back to your employee carousel and you're going to click choose image, upload files, and select those files from your computer. All right, so I have my blogger-in-chief, my Sydney photo, and then open those, and then on the desktop is the screenshot I took of the kittens. So insert those, and then we're going to upload one more, select files. We're going to go to the desktop, and that's where the screenshot of the kittens is. Double click to open that one. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to click on the picture of this fine lady and myself and edit image. And we are just going to crop her out by clicking and dragging and cropping ourselves in and her out. Okay, and we're gonna crop it and then save it. Okay, so update the image. Now back in Elementor, we can close our media window and just update the page, and then we're gonna refresh the page, and then the new images will come in. Beautiful. So when the images come in, you're going to need to replace maybe that first one if you put in the image too soon. So let's click on the employee carousel item itself, open it up, and we're going to open that image and choose the image we cropped of ourselves. Super cool. And then we can give ourselves a name. So Greg, position, WordPress guy. You can go ahead and put in the Facebook links. It's really easy if you want to just pop them in. www.facebook.com/dearblogger is where we post every day. You can get free help, talk to people like you who are building a blog. And you really should like that page and get involved, post a comment. It's obviously free on Facebook. You'd be amazed how much you can learn. And then Twitter is just for quick help and quick stories about blogging. And that's all we really need. All right, so I'm going to update that first item and close it. And then click on that team member section and add item again. For number 2, we're going to do our Instagrammer-in-chief, insert media. All right, and then her name, position is boom, and then Facebook, I'm not sure, Twitter, I'm not sure, but we'll put in something just so it looks good, and update it, and then close it, and then one more, add item, choose image, that would be Los Gatos. Alright, so they definitely have an Instagram. Don't know if we have an Instagram option here in the Sydney builder, but we can always figure that out later. Maybe we'll request it. Okay, so you get the picture. Pretty easy to set up your own team members' social profiles and give them a featured box on the homepage. Let's update it now that we have 3 team members. And now let's see how it looks on our homepage. And let's close up some of these little tabs. All right, let's see if we made anything that looks like the demo site. All right, we're gonna scroll down and we're gonna see we have 3 team members, super cool. Only problem is our photo is a little bit bigger because it's a vertical image instead of just a normal Facebook image. So we have to crop that in the WordPress images. All right, so let's go hamburger menu, exit to dashboard. Let's go to media and let's see the size of our Blogger-in-Chief's image. So that's just 960 by 960, just a perfect square. And we're gonna go back to our image, and what we should have done is made this one a perfect square. So let's edit it. And I'm gonna now just crop what shows up here, even if it's like not what showed up a second ago. Just gonna click on top and drag. And so we can get a perfect square. We can make the aspect ratio on the right hand column of 1:1, and then hold down the shift key and we can just drag so it's always a square. So when I drag now, it's always going to be a square. All right, and crop it and save it. All right, beautiful. Now when we refresh our site, maybe it'll show up, maybe it won't, not sure, it won't show up. So we have to go back to edit with Elementor, and we're gonna come down to our team section, click on that image, item 1, delete the image, grab the new image, which is a square, insert media, and then update. Now let's open our site in a new tab, and it should show up as 3 squares for our team. Perfect. All right, so the only thing we need to do is make the padding a little bit larger and get the our team header in there. All right, so we can do that easily back in Elementor. We are just gonna go to the elements by clicking on the 9 boxes, dragging a heading above the team section. Let's call this our team and center it. And then we're gonna add some margin beneath the Do You Want To section. So click on the Do You Want To section. Advanced. Margin bottom of, let's say, 80, which should give our team the nice space that it needs, and now we can update it. Now let's refresh our site and see how it looks with our new header. Beautiful. We could add a little space in between our team and the images themselves. If we click on the heading, we can give it some padding of its own beneath itself. Bottom padding of maybe 30, and update, and beautiful. So now on our site we have our team section, and when we hover we can get the social media icons and see the position of the person. Super cool. And if you add a fourth team member, then you'll get that nice little team member carousel effect. All right, the next section we want to add is going to be the counters. So to do that, we just need to go to Elements, scroll down, and we are going to add a counter. Grab the counter and pull it into the dotted area. Very cool. So we can see we get one counter. But what if we want 4 counters? Well, we're going to have to duplicate that one counter. So right click on it and duplicate it, then right click on it and duplicate it, then right click on it and duplicate it, and you got 4 counters. Okay, now clearly we're going to need some padding in between our team and the counters. So let's just add that in right now by clicking on our team section, advanced, and padding beneath it of, let's say, 80. Beautiful. But unlink it, and we only want that 80 on the bottom, remember. Okay, and sometimes you need to actually get rid of the zeros because the zeros can mean something bad. They get rid of like padding you do want. So get rid of the zeros and then unlink it, and then 80 on the bottom is what we're gonna go with. It would be nice if this didn't even say a 0, but right now it just comes out as 0, which we can live with. Okay, so obviously all we need to do now is add an icon above each one of these cool numbers. We can just drop an icon in easily like so. Back to the elements, another icon, back to the elements, another icon, back to the elements, and another icon. And then we can make the background color this really cool red from Sydney. Let's right click on it and inspect and make sure we're getting the right color still. Here it is in the lower right. Just copy the hex. Now come back to our Elementor and we're going to click on the section settings, style, background type classic, color, and paste that in where it says hex/RGBA. All right. Then we're going to go to layout and stretch that full width. And we can also go to advanced and give it some padding on the top and bottom so that there's a little more space above our icons. Beautiful. And update. Okay, so now of course we want all of this white. We want the icon, number, and text white. So let's click on the icon. In this case, it's going to be really easy to copy the Sydney theme exactly, so let's do it. First thing is the icon should be the briefcase. Hit style to make its primary color white. And then in the number, we can write a ending number of 98. We can hit style and make its text color white. And for the cool number down below, let's just click content and we're gonna write in briefcase. Not sure why it's not plural, but just briefcase is good. Now let's hit style one more time and we'll make the title text color white. Awesome. If it helps you, as opposed to clicking the white button all those times, we can actually just duplicate this column. All right, and we can do that again and again, and then we can just delete the other columns that aren't the right color. And here I am just right clicking on the column settings box and deleting. All right, super cool. We just need to add the coffee cups, the people, and the diploma. So we're gonna go to the second icon, briefcase. It's gonna be coffee. Perfect. A little bit trivial here, making them all exactly the same, but it's a good skill to be able to copy a website to the T, and now you're going to know how to do it whenever you see one. All right, that was 814 customers. Okay, and then we got the diploma, and I know I missed that one icon. Really didn't have a clue like what that was called here, and you know, sometimes you just don't know the icon. You gotta just go with what you got. And this was 98 221 awards. A lot of icons have multiple meanings, so you know, I think we're in good shape. Very good, and we'll update it, and we are all set with our icon boxes, aka our counters. All right, moving down the page, we have our testimonials. So to insert the testimonials, we're just gonna go back to our elements and scroll down to where it says A-Themes Testimonials and drag it in, and we'll see what happens. All right, so we have a testimonial off the bat, and we're not sure what it's gonna look like, but if we open it, we can see we have item 1 and item 2. And it looks like there's an option for a client photo and a title. All right, so why don't we bring in a heading? Let's click to the elements with the 9 boxes, and we're going to bring in a heading above the testimonials, which is just what our clients say. Center it, and we'll give some space in between the counters, so that would be margin on the bottom. All right, so now we need the images of a couple of clients that will give us reviews. So what we can do is just go to the Sydney demo and right click on these cool images of like John Doe and just save it. And then right click the other guy, save image as, and he's Jamie Stevens, and save it. And if we open those up, it looks like we were hopefully able to download the right people. Yes, we were. Okay, so now let's go back to our Elementor editor. We're going to click on the first testimonial, open up item 1, click client photo and upload and select files. And in this screen, we can easily just choose from our downloads, in other words, my hard drive, where we have our demo images of the people from Sydney. All right, so we'll insert the first guy, insert media. Then we can close that one and open item 2, client photo, insert the second guy, insert. All right, so our carousel of testimonials is working, and to get it to look exactly like the Sydney theme demo, we just need that background image. So we've already covered how to get the background from one of the Sydney demo sections using right-click, inspect, but that can actually get a little bit hectic. Good thing I found that background for us on Pixabay just by remembering the search we did for people. So here it is right here. We can just click on it and free download like normal and download. Now back in Elementor, we're faced with an interesting situation. We would rather have a section that spans the entire width of the page, but what we have is an intersection which sits in the middle of the page. Let's look at our options here. We can click on the section settings right here, go to advanced, and we see there's no margin or padding. But if we go to the section settings from the counter above it and we click advanced, there is a bottom margin of 100, which is sort of hurting us there because that makes it so we can't put a background image on the whole section beneath it. In other words, if that bottom margin is 100, we're not controlling this white space right here in between the section and the counter. That's just like out of the realm of any background we can put on what our clients say. So what we want to do is get rid of that bottom margin, and we want to actually make that padding that goes within the what our clients say section. Okay, so now we're in what our clients say. We're going to unlink the padding and put a top padding of 100. Beautiful, and now we're in a lot better control of this entire section because basically this little half hexagon just moved from down here to up here, and we can control all this white space. You'll see how we can control it when we click on layout, and then we stretch the section so we can get all the borders as well on the columns, on the sides, etc. And then when we click style, we can put a background on this whole section. So style, background type, classic, image, upload, select. We're going to grab the people Sydney background, and then we're going to hit insert media. All right, and we did it. So this section looks really cool now. Let's see how it looked on the demo, and it just had a little bit of dark overlay on it, and then the text is white. So we're almost there. Let's go ahead and make the heading white. Click on the heading, click style, text color white. Let's click on the testimonials now. Style, name. I don't care what color the name is. That name can be white. Perfect. If we click testimonial, the color of that can definitely be white. And then we just want the manager position to also be white. Okay, beautiful. Now let's do this. Let's click on the section settings, and let's make that background image position be top center. Or how about just center, or just anywhere where we can see more of it like we do in the demo. So maybe that's even bottom center, I'm not sure. Center looks good. Okay, and then last but not least, we need an overlay on this what our clients say section. We can go to background overlay, choose classic, let's click color, and now let's just make it a little bit darker. Beautiful, just hitting that black box right there makes it darker. And update. Okay, and we're all done with the testimonials section. Great job, everyone. Next, we are going to learn how to set up the Who Are We section with those moving progress bars we see right here on the Sydney demo. So let's get started by heading back to our Elementor window. Alright, so when we scroll down, we can add our new intersection. We'll just drag it into the dotted area. And now it's pretty clear we need some text on the left and some moving progress bars on the right. So let's see what elements can offer us. Alright, so in the left column, I'm just going to drag in a heading in the left column. Go back to elements and then drag in a text editor. Boom, and then beneath that, we're going to drag in something that gives us these little bullet points and the different bolded text, which is just the icon list right here. So we're going to put that in under the heading, and we got to move the text because it got into the lower wide area and we want it in the column. Perfect. Alright, so then to build the right hand column, we just need our Sydney element, which is going to have the progress bars. So it's just called progress bar. Nice and easy. Alright, and then you can actually duplicate the progress bars once we have the style down. So if we look at that, we see we have things like design, development, photography, strategy. Yours might be like cooking, baking, frosting, and eating. Or whatever for things you want to quantify about yourself or your business. This is really good for like portfolio websites where you show off your skills. For example, they set us up with My Skill and Web Designer. To change how these little progress bars look, just hit the edit button and then you can change the title. So in our case, I really want this entire section to describe what we do with our time as a business and what someone would basically get if they hired us. But you can take this a lot of different creative ways. So the progress bars are going to show how we spend our time and like what we value. So, you know, we can try writing in like the same skill like twice, like web design. And then web design is like 50% of what we do. That would be cool. And we can get the color red just from the Sydney demo by right-clicking on any progress bar and inspecting. And that'll get you to the styles. And you can scroll down until you find the red. It should show up eventually if we're lucky. And sometimes the CSS doesn't want to cooperate, so we can just go to our main website and we can see the background we put on our counter. Alright, this is nice Sydney orange red. Copy that. Oops. Copy that. And now we can pop that in down below. Alright, progress bar, style. The color is just going to be, that should do it. Go back to content and cool. So we are 50% web design. And now we can just right click and duplicate this progress bar. So we are also 50% graphic design. Nailed it. And now we can duplicate that one. And we are 100% WordPress. So we don't need that 100% there, just WordPress. Pop that percentage up to 100. And then we'll copy that one again and duplicate it. And the last one is 100% customer support, because we want people to be happy and we believe in answering questions, because that's how people learn WordPress. They don't learn WordPress from experts hoarding all the knowledge and just building more confusing stuff. They learn from people taking the time to teach. So that's what we do. So now we're going to change our heading to explain this area. We can do this as how we spend the day. And then we can change the subtext that we put in. So I'm going to say, how do we have 300% of our time to devote to your new website? We just sort of make it happen and are proud of it. And then the list items are where you can really break it down more if you want. We can have like list item 1, say, let's edit it. Click it to edit. We can say the first one is building everything from scratch. Right, and the second one is going to be always guiding you at every step. And the third one's going to be saving you money on domain and hosting. Alright, so that's kind of our combo of what we do. And then we're just going to hit the check mark for all of them. So icon, check mark, and icon, check mark. Alright, nailed it. And update. And done. Great job. And we are done with our progress bar section. Great job. Next up, we want to see how to make this call to action button and the bar that goes across the screen. It can actually be a little harder than it looks. I know it was for me at first, so I just want to show you how that works. Okay, so let's go back to our elements and let's hit up the intersection, of course, because we need two different items. We need the text and the button. Now let's hit the elements and let's grab some text, and then let's hit the elements again and we'll grab a button. There's a button. Okay, so even though the demo site uses the button on the right, in the middle, and the text sort of spanned wide, I want to show you a trick to get this section off to one side of your page if you want the focus to be like clicking over here or clicking over here. So to do that, you just pull the inner bar dotted line and you can totally move it over, or you can make it go over here. So that's pretty much how you do it. And then you can basically take the text and you can shorten it up. So like maybe this says like join our new retreat for relaxation, and then you just take the text and you right align it, and then you can push everything over here, or you can do the same with the left align. Like left align the text and pull the button over to the left. Alright, so pretty cool. You just have to make sure that when you do a mobile design of this, that you make sure that it's centered on mobile, and we'll show you how to do that at the end of the video when we mobile develop this site. Alright, so that's how the text and button work. We can obviously change the button to say something like learn more. And then what we want to do is make the button transparent, but first we should have that background of that nice dark black color. What color is that? Well, let's right click inspect, and let's find that it's just 252525. So we can copy that, and then we go to Elementor Home, and then we're going to click on the section settings, the blue dots, and then click Style, Background Type Classic, Color, and paste in that 6-digit color. Now we're going to go to Layout and stretch the section so we have it full width. Very cool. And then last but not least, we need to change the color of our text. So I'm really digging the gray on gray, but this gray is too dark. What gray is the button? If we click the button, click Style, Background Color, we can hit gray, and then we can choose a gray that's a little bit lighter, and then we can copy that gray for the text. Alright, so we're going to go with this gray, copy it, and then click on the text, Style, Text Color, and pop that in. So really easy to match one color with another color in Sydney. Alright, and that is how the button and the call to action works. Great job. And of course you could have this button go to different parts of your page, or you could just have it go to different pages altogether using an anchor link, or just a normal link. And let's update it. Next, we just have an About Us video. That's obviously really easy to make. It's just a video on the right and then some text and a heading. But if you're confused, I get it. Let's see how to make it. We're going to pop in an intersection to the dotted area. Then we're going to hit Elements, and we're going to drag in a heading, and we're going to drag in some text. And then after that, looks like our heading didn't want to go into the column. Come on, heading. There you go. Then we're just going to get more text for the right-hand side, and that's because text editor is really good for videos. All you need to do then is just go to YouTube and find one of your videos. Like, for example, I can find our old Sydney video, and we can just click on it, open it, and then hit share, and then you can get a share link, which is an embed code like this. So that's really good if you want to do it like that, or you can also just paste in the link to the video. But I think having an iframe of your video embed does actually increase the video SEO. So in our case, let's try it with the iframe. Alright, so we're going to paste over the text now, and we should see a video. but if you don't, it's because we didn't do it in the text tab, so it got those weird little and LGT signs. So we just want that code to look nice and clean. And now we should have a video. We are just gonna title it. All right, we're gonna title it saying, "We love Sydney so much." And then we can change the text. And we're gonna write, "We love Sydney so much that we've been helping." And by we, I mainly mean me, but it's also important to say we because we have an entire community that's helping people. So that's why we is better than I. Especially if you want to encourage people to help others and make it seem like you have a whole company, community, whatever. We is a good word for that. Over 3 years now. All right, now we can give our whole section some padding. Click on the section settings, advanced, unlink the padding, and let's give it 50 up top and 50 down below. All right, and that'll make sure that there's some space to watch the video. And we basically created the About Us section. Let's just update it. And sometimes the iframe doesn't like showing up in the Elementor window, so you have to open up your site in a new tab. That's fine. And then the video will show up. All right, so we did it. And the video did not show up. So if that's the case, I'm really not sure why, because if we click in here, we do get the video. Looks like Elementor is not down with iframes now, so let's just get the link to the video without the and part in there, of course. All right, and now we're gonna paste that in and we'll have video. And that part can go in either the text or the visual, and update. And refresh, and that should look a little bit better. Great job. All right, so our video section's done, but if we take one look at the lower part of our homepage, we realize we don't have enough spacing in between how we spend the day and the call to action. So let's do a little quick demo on margin and padding. We can click Edit with Elementor, and then pretty easily we can go into the How do we spend our day section. Just gotta scroll down and we gotta find the section settings for how do we spend the day. So here we go. All right, click on those 6 dots, and now we're gonna click Advanced. And in the case of this How We Spend the Day section, it looks like there's some white space in between the portfolio and the How We Spend the Day section. This is sort of floating in the middle. So let's keep that the same style beneath the section. To do that, we can use margin. So let's unlink the margin and let's throw a bottom margin in of maybe 70 and see how it looks. So it's pretty close. I need to play around with the numbers a little. 60 looks good. All right, and if we had done padding, then there would have been more space inside the blue line, but because we used margin, there's more space outside the blue line, separating how we spend the day from the other elements around it. If you were to Google margin versus padding and click images, you'll get a really good demo of what margin and padding is. So here we have an element like content, and then there's padding in between the content and the border. So that padding would, for example, be like this white space. We can see right here where my mouse is, this little sliver inside the border line. Then the border itself would be that blue line. We don't have a border, so the blue line is just showing us where the border would be. So that would be the border. And then the margin is what we just applied, which is space outside the border in between the element we're working on here and the other element on the page. All right, so with that said, we can apply a little bit more margin or padding to our call to action area. Let's just click on section settings, and we're gonna go to advanced. And we want a little more space that's black in between the button and the border. So that would be padding, space inside of the element. All right, so we can hit bottom margin of maybe 20 or so. Maybe just 10 would do it. And now we have the button a little bit better centered in the black space. And update. All right, so that's just margin versus padding and border explained. Let me know if I didn't do a good job of that. And any questions. All right, so we're gonna go down now and we're gonna set up our next section. Great job. To create the sponsored icon section, we basically just need 5 images lined up next to each other. Although it does look more complex when the images look all cool, this is really just 5 images next to each other. You can actually right click and save image as from the Sydney demo if you want. And then you can save the sponsors so we can set up exactly that. But in your case, hopefully you will have some sponsors or different places where you've worked. So in my case, I actually will put up a real sponsor section, which is going to have places like HostGator and just a few other WordPress blogs. Alright, and then once you have your logos downloaded, if you want to make them totally grayscaled like this, you can open up the tool I like using called PicMonkey. I'll leave you a link in the description, but PicMonkey is basically the coolest way to become your own graphic designer in terms of cropping, adding borders, changing colors, putting cool text on top of images to make advertisements, and more. I think you get a free trial to get started, and I'm pretty sure you can get there through our link, so check it out. Once inside PicMonkey, you just need to click Open New, and then hit Computer to search your computer. You can just look up whatever you're going to work with, like HostGator logo. Alright, I should have a few to choose from because I've done so much with this awesome company. And so yeah, you can just grab whatever logo you like. And then I'm going to scroll down to colors, and we're going to make the saturation all the way, all the way 0. And that'll make the colors black and white. You can also change the temperature if you want, but in our case, actually maybe a little bit increase on temperature would look good. And then just apply it. Alright, now you have a grayscaled logo. Just click Export to get it back to your computer. Change it to JPEG so it'll save a little bit more space, less weight. When you upload to WordPress is always good. And then we will just export it and save it. Now we can just come back to Elementor and drag in, you guessed it, an intersection. So we're just going to drag it in the middle right there. Alright, and now we can just click on Elements and pull in a text editor, which is going to contain an image. Alright, so throw that in the left column. Now we're going to highlight the text and delete it. Add media. Upload files, select files. Grab our HostGator logo. Alright, there she is. Open. Under Attachment Display Settings, I'm going to change the alignment to center the image and also make sure this links to a custom URL. And then from size medium, we're going to change it to large so it's a little more high resolution, and then insert into post. Awesome. Okay, so once you have the logos you want to use, we're just going to add another text area on the right. So Elements, Text Editor. Right, delete the text. Add media, upload files, select. Alright, I'm going to get the Weston Baker logo and the ProBlogger logo. Alright, so we'll keep the alignment, center, content, URL, custom URL, and then size large and insert into post. Alright, and now we can just duplicate the column that one of these text editors lives in. And that will make sure that the logos stretch across the screen and they're roughly the same size, which looks great. And if you find that one of your logos is floating a little bit further down and isn't vertically centered with other logos, you can just click on that specific logo, like Blogging and Writing with Purpose. Click on the pencil and then make sure you're in Advanced. Unlink the margin and then just give it a top margin of not 20, but -20 or something like that. And it should line up perfectly. And update. Alright, so this section just needs a background and maybe a little more padding and margin, and then we're done with it. Let's click on the outer section settings, and to stretch the background across the screen, stretch the section. And then to give it a color, hit Style, Background Type Classic, and color of another color, like gray. The only problem here is that highlights how our logos in these cases, like HostGator, don't have a transparent background. They had a white background, and we're a little bit too lazy to remove that white background right now, even though I can tell you how if you want. So instead of a background color, let's clear that and let's just give this section a border. Let's hit border and then make the border type solid, and then we can do some cool features with the border, like make it a color of gray, close the color. We can also give it a box shadow. We can also curve it with the border radius if you want. But what I'm going to do is just give it a box shadow, which should have a nice little 3D effect around it. So maybe more people will focus on this section. Kind of jumps off the page. Super cool. So now we just need to make sure all of our logos are centered. We're going to have to put a little more space up top. So let's click Advanced. And then let's give this section some padding. Just unlink the padding, hit top. Try about 20. That looks like it's centered everything in the middle. Not sure if this is 20 and that's 20. Maybe more like 24 is perfect. That looks great. Now we can update it and see what we made. And when we go to our home page, let's click on the hamburger icon and now click View Page. and we should see a much prettier as featured on section. All right, great job. Really pops. Just gonna give it a little more spacing up top there. So scroll down and spacing up top. All right. What do we have? We had 24 and it looks like more like 30 is gonna be good. Sometimes you're looking at the editor in Elementor and the way it looks on your home screen has a little bit more or less space. Not often. Usually Elementor is exactly what you'll be seeing, but in some really precise instances, like you just have to play with the numbers a little bit. All right, and looks like we nailed it. Great job. Next up, we're gonna learn how to make the latest news section, which is just a blog showcase. All right, then we're almost to the bottom. So to insert this blog showcase, we're gonna come back to our Elementor window, click Element, and fortunately we have our, I believe, fourth and final A-Themes dedicated custom Elementor widget. So let's drag it in. And it's gonna show whatever post our blog has once we configure it. Right now, I just wanna update it, and let's see when we refresh our homepage if we have any blog posts. So it's gonna find the most recent 3, but it didn't find any, which means we have to open up our dashboard and create some blog posts. All right, so we're sort of creating blog posts by necessity for the design of our homepage, but if you wanna create blog posts to promote your content with inbound marketing, meaning people will hopefully share your posts and link to your posts and people will land on your blog, then now is a good time to do that as well. Let's click post and let's get started. And I'll also show you 3 types of posts that every new blog should have. All right, and that would not include the Hello World post, so you can just trash that. Okay, so the first post we all should add is a welcome to the blog post. Let's click add new and let's get it going. Why welcome to the blog? Well, a lot of people just start writing and their first visitors that come to see what you're working on don't understand what the goal of the blog is. The welcome to the blog post helps establish that goal. People like knowing what your goal is and what to expect. And it's also just a nice touch. Everyone likes being welcomed. So this basically shows people that you're not just gonna make any blog, but that you have a purpose for it and it's gonna become a successful blog. This is also a good time to give your blog a name. So I thought Sassy Sydney could be a cool name for our little blog corner of the website here. And you can also use this post to tell people about where you've been lately, where you plan to go in terms of where your writing's gonna go, where you're traveling, and that sort of stuff. And talk about the readers. Tell them who they are if they're on your blog, what type of people you're gonna write towards, and most importantly, what they can get out of your blog. If you want some dummy text and don't have the post yet, you can just go to panipsum.com. And on Panipsum, you can get dummy text about some things that you might like, or if you just wanna be funny too. So I'm just gonna grab coffee and also cat. And when you choose a couple boxes, you can click generate ipsum and it'll sort of like blend in all those terms together. Now all you have to do is just grab whatever paragraphs you want, copy them up, and then come back to the blog. We're gonna right click and paste in the visual tab. If you don't have the lower checkboxes open, then just open the toggle bar. And you can put your text in visual and your code in the text tab. All right, so that's just how it works. And that is a blog post. I'm not gonna cover every single one of these buttons because you've likely used them in Microsoft Word or in some form or shape or another. But the most important ones are typically insert edit link, this chain link button. Of course, add media right here to get images in your post. You can also make things a header. If you select them, add some space, and then you can make it a paragraph heading, which is good for SEO. Just gonna hit Command undo. And also you can add a read more tag to your post using this little sandwich button. And that'll make it so the post cuts off right here on your homepage. All right, your post also of course needs a category, which is how you organize them on your blog and also for Google. And we can just do updates. Our first update post and add new category. And then publish, and we have a blog post. Now when we go to our homepage and refresh it, you'll see one blog post, or you'll see no blog posts actually, and that's because we didn't choose a category right here in which categories this element should show. So what we need to do is just refresh this page so it knows that we made a post with categories. Make sure you update your content always before refreshing. Now we're going to come down, click on the A-Themes posts, and choose the category of updates. All right, and there we have a post, and update it. and on our homepage, we should see that post. Okay, so a couple things are off still. We don't have an image, which is going to be a featured image in our post, and we might want to control the exact wording that goes right before this little ... read more area. So let's head back to our post. All right, and we can see that the text sort of ends right around the nap all day words, which would be right about here. So Sydney basically wants to grab about this much text for our homepage. If you want to control exactly what text shows up on your homepage, just make sure that this read more button is inside of that amount of text. For example, a good option would be just to cut it off at this sentence right here, and then we can actually go to the text tab where we have just our read more link. That's what it looks like right here. We're just going to cut that now, and we're just going to paste that right after white. Make sure there's enough spaces and go back to visual, and now we'll have a read more link up here. Now for our featured image, we can come down and set the featured image, and we're just going to choose one of our really cool images that we put in our portfolio and set featured image and update, and let's see how it looks. Okay, great job guys. So now we have our featured image and we can control exactly what text appears, and someone can just click on the title or the image to get to the post. Super cool. Let's add a little more spacing above these A-themes posts just so that there's like not this little touching effect. Let's go back to Elementor to do that and click on the settings for the A-themes posts, advanced, and then we're just going to give it some padding on the top. Alright, and update. Alright, so now of course when we add our new posts in, they will fill in on the right over here. So let's do it. The second post you should always add on a new blog after the welcome post is going to be an ultimate guide. It could be the ultimate guide to any one of your passions, whatever your expertise is. The reason you want an ultimate guide is for Google SEO. If you have an ultimate guide, which is long in content, includes a lot of images, videos, tutorials, quotes, and pieces of advice, it's going to be more likely to rank above the next best guide in Google. What I'm saying is, in your niche, find whoever's writing a good guide and make a guide which is ultimater than that guide. And then just call it something like, for example, how to create a website with Sydney theme, ultimate WordPress guide, for example. All right, so you get the picture. We can populate this guide with some text from Panopsim because we don't have that guide written yet. All right. Again, this ultimate guide could be about any one of your passions or whatever you're an expert on. Even something small like the ultimate guide to like how to type faster on the keyboard or how to feed your kitten for maximum healthiness. People need ultimate guides on the craziest things these days. So go for it. We'll give a new category of ultimate guides. You can of course have more than one on your blog. All right, and then we're going to put in the read more link right after the, well, we'll give it a slightly different text orientation and pop in the read more link. And then lastly, we just need a featured image. All right, boom, and set featured image. And you have 2 blog posts now. Just publish it and we're good to go. And refresh the homepage. All right. And it didn't show up because we need to add 2 categories in our blog post element. So click on the pencil icon for the A-themes posts, and in categories we now want to use another category. Well, let's make sure that we refresh the page so it shows our second category. Hopefully it'll let us choose multiple categories. All right, there we are. Categories, ultimate guides. All right, so in this case it only lets us choose one category, but there's an easy fix to that. What you have to do is add the same category across all of your posts that you want to show up on the homepage. And a great category for that is just featured. So add that category to our second post, and then we'll add that category to our third and first posts. All right, so go back to the post list. Post number 1 is welcome to the blog, Sassy Sydney. And now we don't need to add the new category, it's right there. Just check it and update the post. Just go back to your Elementor editor. Make sure you always update before you refresh. And we're going to choose that category of featured. Boom, and done. All right, now for our third post. After you write a welcome to the blog post and an ultimate guide, it's good to have a controversial piece about anything, just presenting people with a different way of looking at something in your niche. Now, this could be something crazy like how to eat more bread and still lose weight, or how to spend more money and still save more money, whatever really crazy concepts you can think of. As long as you can prove them, it's a good post to write. So in my case, when I started Dear Blogger, I wrote the truth about premium WordPress themes, and I basically revealed a bunch of little known facts then, which is that premium themes all use a lot of the same code. And basically, if you're going to get a premium theme, you should know it's just a packet of a bunch of code someone's written, and a lot of it doesn't even look good out of the box because you have to fill it in with your own demo content. So you should really get a free theme like Sydney instead. That's what I wrote, and it created some good shockwaves for some good people and pissed off some people who, probably were ripping people off. So that's what I did, and that was a good way of positioning, the blog as an expert blog. Of course, you got to be true to your own blog, so just write a controversial blog post, maybe like why Sydney makes WordPress better than Squarespace, for example, or something like that would be cool, because Sydney has some designs which are like way cooler than Squarespace designs. All right, so you don't need that controversial header unless you really want to keep it. And then we're just going to put some Panipsum back in. Maybe we'll get the other set of Panipsum. Oh, I would definitely like to burrow under some covers right now. Not sure what that sentence said, but okay, we're going to get that out. And then we're just going to go ahead and pop in our read more link. That's a cute sentence, isn't it? Intently stare at the same spot. They love doing that, don't they, those kittens? All right, so now we're going to hit read more, and then category of featured, so it shows up on the homepage. Add a new category of maybe like reviews. So this could be a 2019 Sydney theme review, and add new category. Now we're going to hit featured image. One more featured image, which is super cool. Nailed it. And set featured image. All right, and publish it. All right, guys, super job. You are now done with the blog post section. The last thing we just needed to make it look like the demo would be a header. So we're going to add in a heading in Elementor. Just go back to Elements. All right, heading. Drag it in up top above the blog post, and we're going to call this one, of course, latest news from the blog. All right, and if anyone has figured out by now how to add that red line underneath the headers, I will love you forever and give you a mystery gift still if you tell us how to do it. All right, and update. And refresh. Beautiful. You're really mastering the Sydney WordPress theme in this demo. If you open up one of your blog posts, or maybe one of your users is reading it and wants to share it with someone, they're going to grab the URL at the top and paste it into an email or into social media. But they're also going to notice it looks really weird with an index.php in it and a date in it, which is actually bad for Google SEO because it tells Google that your content is old basically as time goes on. You want to be able to control that date by updating it inside the blog post and not have that date in the URL, which you cannot change after you publish a post. So to simplify everything up here so it just includes these really rich, nice keywords, you can reset your permalinks. To do that, go to the dashboard and under settings, just click permalinks. And super easy but super forgotten step, you just want to click post name and save changes. And in almost all cases, in almost all of our tutorials, we just want it to be post name. That's just the best for Google and for when people have to share your link. All right, now let's check out our post. Much better. Next up, we are going to create the social media bar on our Sydney WordPress theme. So we're going to go back to our Elementor area, come down to the dotted area and click Elements. Scroll down and we're going to grab in whatever social media options are available. Looks like Elementor gives us social icons. Let's try that out. Drag it in and cool. All right, so our social icons look pretty good right away. We just want to make sure we add all the necessities like Instagram, and we don't want Google Plus, unfortunately, although I used to use them and loved them. Really awesome community with good leaders, but Google decided to deprecate them. So we're going to click add item and we can leave WordPress in there. It's always good. Add item and we're going to choose Instagram. Add item and we're going to choose, of course, YouTube. All right, now we're going to make the shape rounded, just circle. And we're going to see if we can't get rid of that background on the social icons just so they have that nice simple white look. All right, so let's go to Style, change it from official color to custom, and now let's make the primary color white and click on the color to close it, and then make the secondary color nothing. So we're just going to pull it down to nothing, although it looks like that's making the letters and the birds themselves transparent. So it looks like we got that backwards. So let's make the secondary color white. Drag the bar up so it's the full color itself, not any opacity. Click the color to close it, and then make the primary color the one which has nothing in it because it's totally transparent. Now we just need to give this section a background. So let's click on the section settings and let's give it the background of our Sydney red. We can get our Sydney red color from another part of this site that uses the red, like for example the background here on our counters. Just click Style, Color. We're going to borrow the background color and bring that back down to our social icons. Click Settings, Style, Background Type Classic. Alright, and then open up the color box, paste it in. Cool. Very, very nice. We just need to click Layout now and stretch the section. And then we're going to click Advanced and we're going to pad the section. So unpad and then repad top of whatever will push the buttons towards the middle, and bottom which will further push the buttons towards the middle. Alright, and while we're here we can also unlink the margin, and up top we're going to give it some space. Below, see all our news. Alright, you get the picture. So now let's go back to our social icons. We see here, click Edit, and we're going to make sure that they're bigger. So in Style, you'd think size would be here, and it is. Just bring up the size to something a little bit more like the demo, and now it's all coming together. Alright, so we're going to eyeball it here. Could probably go with something a little bit bigger than the demo. I think the demo is a little too small. I think that looks great, a little more of an impact. And then you can change the spacing, so if you want them super close or far from each other. So we can do here. Alright, and then lastly, padding would be even more space in between them. So maybe we're going to bring them in a little bit just so people can look at them all at once and don't have to like really make their eyes go to the sides of their heads. Alright, again, totally up to you. Just use whatever your eyeball says looks good. I can always double check it for you. And now when we hover on the icons, you just have to decide whether you want that circle to appear. I think it's kind of cool because then you get the original color of the icon back, and it's just like, ooh, I actually changed that with my mouse. Maybe I'll click it now. But if you want to remove that, you can totally do so. Just go to icon hover and you can change the background settings there. Of course, we find another golden nugget here, which is you can change the hover animation, like make them pulse and grow. So, you know, you really get a lot with Sydney. I didn't even know we could do that, but now I'm just super stoked. And I'm going to go ahead and choose one of them that will make people fall in love with your site. How about Bob? That is awesome. Alright, so totally up to you. Now that you have the power of your Sydney WordPress theme, you can add whatever you want. Last but not least, you just need to add the social links themselves in content. So in Facebook, for example, we can add our Dear Blogger page, and YouTube would be just YouTube. And my nickname that my buddy Joe gave me back in college, Narayan. Okay, so we've nailed our social icons to look great, update it, and we're done. Alright, so our homepage still needs a couple more things. Actually, it just needs one more thing, which is a footer, and that's going to go on every page. Alright, so right now our site has a default footer. I think if we scroll all the way down, we see we just have this footer bar. But to actually make footer widgets, you're going to need to leave Elementor, click the hamburger, click exit to dashboard, and then we're going to want to hover on appearance and just click widgets. Alright, so once you're in widgets, it's really easy to add this like video, this text, and this get in touch area. It's so easy because Sydney gives us these footer featured profiles, which are basically contact info and okay, so it's just that one, but they also give you all the standard WordPress ones. All you need to do basically is open up the footer one and pull in some text. So that's going to be our video. Alright, and then to insert a video, you can easily just go to YouTube, get a video, and paste that link in. Just make sure that you don't use a video that is like a professional video or a music video, because they'll be really strict and they'll actually limit what you can actually do in terms of making money because, of course, of copyright laws. All right, so we're just gonna grab like a Sydney video that we made, which will help you further, like for example, how to move the text and that button. Really good skill, I think. All right, so I'm just gonna open the video and just copy it. Okay, so let's drop that video in our footer area. Here we are in widgets. Paste in the video, and we're gonna call this one Learn More with Sydney, our theme, and close it. And then in the middle, we're just gonna have some more text. So text, drag it into footer 2 also works. This is where you can talk about your mission or your goal to, or just like tell people what your site is a good example of what you can do here. So like this, WordPress on your favorite social media channel. All right, nailed it, and save it. I always feel really old-fashioned when I say social media channel, like social media outlet. All right, then footer 3, we just want to use Sydney contact info. So this is where we can just have the title, like get in touch, address. I usually like using Chelsea Market, New York City, because that's where I used to have a YouTube address, and I think they still have office space for me there. Maybe if you're ever over there, let me know and I can try to drop in, but that's a really cool YouTube creator space. Sometimes they have free sandwiches. You can enter in your phone number here, and of course your email address, and feel free to email me questions about custom developing or features you want to add to your site, although it is a little bit quicker if you just post a YouTube comment, but happy to help over email too. All right, save it. Now we'll refresh our site and we should have a footer. So after our social icons, we see we now have a beautiful footer. For some reason, our video is not showing up. Let's go back to the footer widgets and let's see the video. All right, so maybe it just didn't want to show up, not sure why. Let's click on the text tab. And it looks like there's a custom HTML widget, which might be better. So let's try to pull that one in instead. So custom HTML, drop it in. We're gonna put that video link into the custom HTML. Then we're just gonna call it Learn More with the Sydney WordPress theme. And delete the text widget and save it. Let's see if that worked. All right, so that didn't even work. So I don't know what the point of that widget is. That's silly. Delete that one. All right, and then let's just try the video widget just to be simple. So video, we're gonna add video, and we're obviously just gonna paste in the URL, insert from URL, paste YouTube, add to widget. Now let's give it a title. Learn more about Sydney. And save it. And I have a feeling that should work. So when we refresh our site, we now have a beautiful footer with the video, text, and a get in touch bar, just like the demo. Super cool. And we're done with our footer. The only thing we need to add now is just line it up so there's a header here in the middle and there's no white space up top. So we can give that footer 2 widget a title. We call this one About Us. Save it. And then we're gonna go back to Elementor. So if it turns out you find some white space at the bottom of your Sydney website, which looks like it's just meant to add more content, maybe Elementor left it there, you can always right click it and inspect it. And WordPress will show you exactly what's going on. So in this case, it looks like it's like a padding around the content, and we can try playing around on the right by unchecking what could be padding that area. So in our case, it actually does look like a combination of what's going on with page wrap in terms of being bottom padding. So we can't actually get rid of it right here with the checkboxes, but if you go to your additional CSS window, you can get rid of it. So follow me to the Appearance Customize section now. I'm going to show you how to write a little bit of custom CSS, which comes in a lot of it handy as you custom develop sites and just need to get rid of stuff. Just open additional CSS, and we're going to write in, I believe it was a class, inspect. We're going to write in page wrap because it's class equals page dash wrap. So that means you have to write in dot for class and then page dash wrap open bracket, and then padding dash bottom 0 and semicolon and update. Now when we refresh our site, we should see that we got rid of that padding on the bottom. So that's cool. There's just a little more space to negotiate, and that might actually be in Elementor. Let's go to Elementor. All right, and then let's see if we have a section margin, I'm thinking. So if we scroll down to our lowest section, gosh, this website's looking good. The social icons, click that, click advanced, and sometimes even though like, they're all at 0, well, padding, I guess that's inside. Interesting. All right, so if it's not in Elementor, let's right click it one more time. And you just gotta do a little detective work here. So it looks like at some point there's like some extra hidden padding. And by highlighting on the right where it says .page wrap content, you see the green bar, which is exactly the space we want to remove, and green is always padding, whereas orange is margin. So let's try to actually get rid of that padding by copying that. Now we can go back to our customize window. We're not going to write out what we just copied because it's way too much. We're just going to paste it. Now we're going to write in after the word wrapper, bracket, enter, and then padding bottom 0 again, and publish it and refresh it. Now finally we are at our goal of having no white space in between the red bar and the black bar. So perfect. You just learned how to do some detective work using inspect element in Chrome on how to get rid of that pesky white space. Great job. And in fact, we are now done with designing our entire homepage with Sydney. Click that arrow to get us up to the top, just because now we get to be lazy. So now that our homepage design is completely done, great job by the way, it's time to move on to perhaps what most of you guys have been waiting for, and that's how to make a video background on a page. And we're going to do that on our brand new About page. So to set up our new About page, we're going to come to the top navigation, hover on New, and just click Page. All right, just title it About, and we're going to go ahead and publish it. All right. So the first thing to consider on our About page is going to be the page attributes template. Obviously with Elementor, we have a couple more template options, but we are not sure what to use, because if we use Elementor full width, we're going to get the header, like the Sydney header on top of our screen. This black area at the top, of course, the header. On the other hand, if we use the page template of Elementor Canvas, it will remove the header. We'll just have an entire screen of Elementor instead of part of the Sydney theme, which is the header, and then the rest Elementor. There are plenty of good tutorials on YouTube on how to make a custom header, which you'll need to make if you do the Elementor Canvas option. But because you probably want the pages to look consistent and to save ourselves a little work, we're going to go with Elementor full width so we keep the Sydney header. And update. Okay, now let's click Edit with Elementor. Alright, so right away we see we have our Elementor in the middle, and then we have our Sydney header at the top and Sydney footer at the bottom. I'm going to go to Customize right now, and then I'm actually going to remove the header image at the top of the page, because that's going to be our video. So let's click Header Area, and now Header Type. And for Site Header Type, which applies to all the pages other than the home page, we're just going to choose no header and publish it. And now let's refresh our Elementor window. Great, so now we just have the header. Perfect. To start making your video background, we're going to drag in the intersection. All right. Next, let's delete one of these columns so we just have some text in the middle if we want. All right, one column intersection. And now why don't we go ahead and put that video in the background, because we're going to need to see how the video displays on the side and top and make it the right width and height. So you can just head to YouTube, or maybe Vimeo works, but YouTube is definitely the best, I think. And we're going to grab one of our surfing videos that we've used before. Okay, so once you find a cool video, just grab the link to the video without the and sign. Copy that and come back to Elementor. All right, and then we're going to go to the outer section settings. Click on Style, Background Type, Background Video now, and paste in that link. And if there's some text or unnecessary stuff on top of the video, you can choose the start time which is after that text comes in, and an end time, which would basically just make the video itself show. And you can also create a loop if you get this sort of a range going. Okay, now that that's done, I want to go ahead and make a full width Elementor video header out of this video. So let's play around with our layout a little bit. Click layout, and then let's stretch the section. And then instead of content width, let's go full width. Columns gap, let's go no gap. Height, we're gonna go fit to screen, which is a big one. Content position, we'll go, that one doesn't matter. Overflow, doesn't matter. And yeah. So you're gonna notice obviously the video is pushed down on the screen. Why is that? Well, if we head over to our advanced tab, we're gonna see that there's really no margin or padding going on. The video is just pushed down just because. That's kind of like the way the page is built. That said, let's unlink and let's see if we can't make it move. So on the top, you could try going negative again, and you might actually get the right effect. So right now we're getting the margin up, 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 and it's gonna eventually come into the header, which is really cool because the header is transparent, so you're gonna see a little of the video. And yeah, just gonna take a little bit of playing around. So ideally, I want to see just the very top of the video hit the top of the screen so we don't lose too much of it. All right, so maybe like 255 in that range would be good. All right, now let's update the page and let's see what we made. So we're gonna get out of customize, and then we have to also add that about page to our menus. So let's hover on our site title and click menus. And then quickly just about, add to menu, you already know how to do this. Boom, and save it. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the about page via our menu, and we're gonna see that we have this cool video background. And it's actually pretty perfect. I think once the WordPress header is out of the way, once it's logged out, which everyone of course would see except you, you're gonna have a really nice full screen video. And the fit to screen setting of course makes it touch the very bottom of your page. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Elementor now and just throw some text on top of the video, whatever you wanna write, and then we can complete our about page, which could also be your services page, your portfolio page, your projects page. I just find that the word about kind of gets people. They like clicking and reading about you. So let's go to the elements now. Let's grab a heading, throw it in the middle, and then we're just gonna write out something cool. Okay, once your text is written, just center it and then style it to white. So text color, white looks great on a darker background like we have here. Let's also bring it up. Typography, we're gonna bring up that size. And I would show you how to add a Google font, but there are so many options for fonts here that you really probably don't need to. You can just choose a font that you think fits your brand. So one that I really like is called Poppins. All right, just solid, consistent, has kind of a googly feel. And yeah, let's update it and let's move down the page. So now we're gonna hit elements and we're gonna bring in another piece of content, which is just gonna be a text editor. There we're just gonna describe, what we do, talk about ourselves. All right, so lastly on this page, I just wanna borrow one of the pieces of content from our homepage, and that would be our portfolio full width section, which took so long to make. So if you make something really cool and you wanna put it on another page, that's really easy with Elementor. Just click edit with Elementor. Scroll down to the section that you want to put somewhere else. Click on the section settings and then right click it and then save it as template. So we're going to call this one portfolio and save it. All right, so now when we're on our about page editing, just make sure you update your progress. Now you can refresh it. And when we refresh, we'll have that template ready to throw in. So we're just gonna click on the folder icon instead of the plus. It's gonna pull up our template library, which should have one template in My Templates. There it is. Just click Insert. We're gonna click No, just so there's no unnecessary settings, and you did it. Great job. Okay, so all we need to do on this page is basically edit this text, and I believe we're good to go. So I'm just gonna write up a little welcome sort of message here that I can think up in a few seconds. Okay, and maybe I'll drop some more important instructions or links here, but this looks good for now. Let's just space it out a little bit. Let's click on the section settings, which contains our text. We're gonna click advanced and unlink the padding, and now we're gonna pad it up on the top. Beautiful. Now let's click on the text itself, go to style, center that text, and then we're gonna make the font that cool Poppins again. So family Poppins. Nailed it, and we can bring up the size as well. All right, that should do it for now. Let's try updating and let's see what we made. We're gonna go back to our home page. All right, so then it looks like we have a little more white space at the bottom, and let's just throw in a quote and then seal off this page. All right, we're gonna come back to the elements. Do we have a block quote option? Maybe not. So we're just gonna grab the text editor, throw it in there. We're gonna write out one of my favorite quotes from Kevin Costner, which is just, when the defining moment comes along. And I hope that you are defining your presence online with our website and taking care of all your important moments. Okay, so now style, center, typography, Poppins, and size, whatever size we had up top, which was 36 is good, right? All right, so we're going with a bold quote today, not really that inspirational, but more of like a challenge to you. Hope you like it. And if you know what movie that's from, let me know in the comments. Lastly, one cool trick you can put on your quotes to make them look better is just a huge image of a quotation mark. So instead of like quoting it around the edges, you can actually just, for example, you can duplicate this text editor to work on another one, then just put a quote in it, and of course the font that we're using. So we're going to delete that text and just write a quote symbol. Now we're going to go to style, typography, and make that quote humongous. All right, there it is. We can also change the color of the quote. Like usually a nice gray works well. All right, there we go. And then instead of updating the page, I'm actually just going to screenshot this quote to make an image of it. So I'm going to hit Command-Shift-4 to get our little aimer and screenshot a square image of the quote. All right, take that picture. Now we're going to delete this element. So right click, delete it, and we're going to come up to our real quote and hit Settings, Style, Background Type Classic, and upload an image that we just took of that quote. So select Files, just grab that screenshot, insert the media. All right, now you just have to play with the position a little bit, like go with top center, or center, and then give that element a little more padding around it so that you can see the other parts of the quote. So click on Edit Section, Advanced, Padding Unlinked. All right, super cool. So we created this little cutoff quote that's in the background, and we're gonna update. Now let's check out our page. Scroll down, beautiful. It's even cool how the quote touches the bottom of the screen, even though we didn't mean on doing that. Okay, so great job, guys. You now have a really cool, awesome, unique about page using Elementor. And of course, this solves the issue of using the video background in Sydney, where it would apply to like every subpage. Now you can just put a video background on one individual page in Sydney with Elementor. All right, we're almost done here. I just want to add a contact page so that you guys can have contacts through your website and also learn how to use a full Elementor template. So let's hover in the new menu and click Page. All right, we're gonna go with Contact, and we're gonna go with Template, Elementor Full Width, and Publish. Now let's click Edit with Elementor. And what we're gonna do now is just start with the templates. So click on the gray folder, and now we're gonna go with Pages. And you can actually search for contact. Super cool that they thought of us over at Elementor in Sydney. And they give us all these cool contact pages that could fit your style of website. All right, so I think architect is really cool. Let's see what that looks like. Pop it open. And unfortunately, it is a GoPro feature. I'll leave you a link to buy Elementor with a discount beneath the video if you want. But for now, let's just see what a free template looks like. All right, let's try Cake Shop because it's just fun looking at food, even though we're probably not going to get to eat it. And click Insert. All right, so Elementor will think for a second and then drop in your new contact page, complete with a cool font, a map, your address, which you can change. And then in the Say Hello area, what it wants is a contact form, but we don't have a contact form plugin installed yet. So let's update our page. Then let's go back to our dashboard, hit Plugins, Add New. And even though we're keeping our plugins list super lean, we can afford to add Contact Form 7, super lightweight, and what millions of people use as a contact form. Install it, activate it. Now we're going to click its settings, and we're going to copy the shortcode here. Just click it and copy it. That's all you got to do. Now we're going to go back to our contact page. So Pages, Contact, Edit with Elementor. All right, we're going to drop that shortcode in under Say Hello and see what happens. All right, so let's grab a text editor, drag it in, and now we're going to paste over the text with our shortcode. Awesome. And then if you want to center your shortcode, just click on the text area, Style, Center Everything. Great job. Now this will send to whatever email address you have entered in your WordPress settings. All right, and update. Let's click on the hamburger and let's see what we made. All right, now you have a super cool contact page. You can easily replace the map and you have a perfectly working contact form. All right, let me know any questions you have on how to replace content on your contact form or on any template. Just drop me a question in the comments below and I'll help out. For now, I don't want to keep this video too long for you guys. That way you can just use your Elementor skills and Sydney skills we've learned thus far. And a lot of you are going to want to make whatever you have in your mind anyways, so I don't want to hold you back. We're just going to click blog and add one more feature. Our blog looks really cool, but our sidebar does not, and that's because we have too much weird WordPress stuff and we need a Facebook like box. So first, let's delete stuff in your sidebar. To do that, hover on your site title and click widgets. All right, and then you can just open and delete, open and delete. And I like creating all these manually with like a text editor, just so your site doesn't look blatantly like a WordPress site. All right, now we're gonna throw in a text editor, add it to sidebar, and we're gonna make a Facebook like box. So let's go to Facebook like box in Google and hit it. Oh, right, instead the plugin is deprecated. What the hey? All right, so we got to go to the page plugins. Facebook and Google love deprecating our favorite stuff, but that's just life. They make a lot of good stuff for us anyways. And the page plugin is where you can enter in your page URL. So ours is, like we said before, just .com/dearblogger. Then you can change things like the width, if you'd like, and make the tabs different. But in our case, I really just like the default option. So once you're happy with that, then just click Get Code. All right, what do we got to do with this Facebook code? First thing we got to do is paste the lower code in our sidebar. Copy that, come back to our widgets, and just paste that in. Go to the text tab, and then just paste that in. All right, and save it. And the final step to get our Facebook like box to show up is just to go back to the dashboard and add one more plugin. So plugins, add new. And we're gonna grab insert headers and footers. All right, it's by the really nice folks at WP Beginner. Install now and activate. And by doing that, you will have a place to put in third-party code from Facebook, Google, etc. Just copy the code in step 2, come back to your site, and now in settings, we'll have a insert headers and footers tab. So click that, and then just paste in the Facebook code in the header box. Boom, and save it. All right, and now let's check out our blog. Beautiful, there it goes, and it loaded. Now people can like your content or even interact with it and comment on it inline without leaving your site. Or, well, maybe Facebook makes it leave the site, but sometimes you don't have to. All right, great job. Okay, so last but not least, I just want to add a couple more fun slides to our Sydney slider for you guys. So we can click on Customize. All right, then I'm going to go to Pixabay, and I'm going to look for an image of a goat. That's right, a goat. All right. What about a goat jumping? Alright, so it's clearly a toss-up between the shaggy mountain goat in the forest. Look at those horns. And the, what I think is a mother and baby goat. So this one's maybe a little better because the lighting and you get the baby goat. So free download. Download. Not a robot. Goat. And download. Alright. Mother and baby goat. And save it. Now we're going to go back to Elementor. You might be wondering like what I'm doing with goat images. Well, we're going to go to our slider. So header area, header slider. And we have one option at the bottom for a fifth slide. So we're going to select image. Upload the goats. Choose image for the fifth slide. And then title is going to be the goat, all caps, of free WordPress themes. All right, let's see if we reach that fifth slide. All right, publish it. And beautiful, there they are. Okay, now we're gonna go back to the slides and I'm actually gonna change the first slide, instead of create, to say jump into Sydney with us. Cool, and then publish. And then last but not least, I want to show you how to move the text on top of the slider if you want to change it from the center to a different part of the image where it might look a little cooler. To do that, let's just go back. We can stay in Customize and we're going to click on Additional CSS. We can see we already wrote out a little bit to get rid of some spacing. So we're going to start with a period for class and then slide-inner, which is going to target this whole inner slider area on your website. And then brackets, enter. And I'm going to start by writing top 70%, semicolon, which should push the text down. Put a space in there. Now I'm just going to write out padding left, 100 pixels. Important, because it is. Enter. And finally, text align left, colon. So that padding left will push the text off the screen on the side, and the text align will align it to the left within this slide inner. And if you want to make that text any bigger, you can just write out .main title, bracket to target the amaze words or the love words, and then write out font size, whatever you think bigger would be. If that doesn't work, try a h2.main title. And if that doesn't work, we could try an important. There we go, that did it. Sometimes important is necessary just because there's other code in the background or beneath what we're writing that overrides what we are trying to write. All right, and we can make that lower text bigger just by copying the CSS we just wrote, pasting it. And instead of main title, we're gonna write in .subtitle. We just gotta make sure it's a little bit smaller. All right, guys, you did it. Let's publish the page now, and let's go to our site, and let's see how it looks with our new slider. Awesome. Okay, and if you see that little red line in the middle of your text, then you gotta actually adjust one more thing, which I believe is the line height. So let's go back to Customize, Additional CSS, H2 main title, and let's give it line height, which is usually a little bit less than the font size, so maybe like 120 pixels. Boy, my typing is bad today. Important, and that should do it. Right. All right, nailed it. And publish. And of course, that Get Started button will still do its job. All right, guys, so I'm super sad to say the tutorial is now done, but really in WordPress, as you might know by now, it's never done. You can always keep making your site more powerful and amazing and gathering more users for your community. Speaking of community, I really hope you'll hit that subscribe button. That way you'll get notified right away when I publish more advanced Sydney tutorials that show you how to make your Sydney website stand out from the pack. And if you learned anything here, the single best way to say thanks is just to rate the video with a like or a dislike. I hope you guys loved it. I hope you go off and build better blogs and websites and make the internet a better place. I'll stick around for, a few hours or days or, months probably to help you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, I'm Narayan. Thanks for watching. See ya. Time for another coffee.